Hello, everyone! Welcome to another exciting edition of Primetime Crisis Live. It's Season 2, Week 12, and I'm your host, Captain Logan. Tonight, we're talking about an unprecedented number of shows. We have an insane amount of things to cover. We're also covering some things that aren't, well, one thing that's not straight-up comic-related. Comic-related in that there have been lots of comic books, but not that it's originally based on a thing that's based on a comic book, and that's the X-Files. And 2 episodes. Weirdly, they decided to air back-to-back, Sunday and Monday last week. So we'll be talking about 2 episodes of the X-Files. We're going to open that, and I never thought I would ever get to say that on this show or anywhere else. We're going to talk about 2 brand new episodes of the X-Files. That is really exciting to me, and we're going to get to that here in just a few minutes. We're also going to cover Lucifer at the end of the show, and I want to begin, of course, as always, by introducing my illustrious panel of co-hosts. First of all, coming first ever to the show, it's Brandon Grimm.
Hi.
Brandon Grimm is the biggest X-Files fan that I know, and so I thought that I would invite him on the show to talk a little bit about 2 brand new episodes of the X-Files, Brandon. Yeah,
that's right.
Oh, man. And as always, it's the insane but stylish TheRealManos.
Hey, everybody.
Oh, Mulder and Scully, get a room.
Sculder.
And tingling for fun, it's TheCuriousLo.
You said that about me before. Hello.
Was that you last time? I want to try to make that somebody else every time. Oh, well. I blew that one out. Yeah, well, anyway. And operating without a net, it's Steve Baxey.
Hello.
And his head ever in the clouds, it's Dan Torrey.
What's up, kids?
And our official chat moderator sitting around moderating the chat, it's Jackson Rasco.
Primetime Crisis Live, the movie, confirmed.
I would be the person that would have to do the confirming.
It's confirmed.
He's like, nah, we're all going to make that movie behind your back. We've already cast Captain Logan, and you're not
Yeah.
It's George Clooney.
It's a full-on mutiny. Don't worry about it.
You know what? I think George Clooney could play me if I aged like 20 years. I know I would love it if George Clooney played me, because then I could pretend like I was way better looking than I am. That'd be great. I actually like George Clooney a lot. It would be amazing to be played by George Clooney. Anyway, well, as if you've never watched Primetime Crisis Live before and you're watching live, thanks a lot, first of all, for being here. Thanks for being here, everybody that's watching right now and watching afterwards. If you don't know much about the show, we have a blue chat in the description that you can go to chat with your fellow viewers if you'd like to do that. You can also ask Jack. I almost said the real Rasco. You can ask the real Rasco any questions or comments that you would like to see discussed on the show anytime during the show about whatever we happen to be talking about at the time on the YouTube chat. Please don't have any random chatting there on the YouTube chat. That is just, so that's the chat that you see there on the YouTube watch page. Please use that only for questions and comments you'd like to see us discuss, and use the blue chat to chat amongst yourselves and with some of the panelists that are probably in there as well, chatting with you. That's a good place, the only place really to do that. So be sure to do that. At the end of the show, we will chat with you for another 5 or 10 minutes about other random things going on in comics or screen pop culture stuff in an open forum. So you'll be able to ask us things then as well. And why don't we go ahead and jump right into it? Oh, and also, let me mention, of course, the poll. That's the easy poll in the description. You can vote for your favorite show that we talked about anytime during the show. We've already had a number of votes, and you can do that, like I said, anytime between now and the end when I reveal how things stack up there. Spoiler alert, Arrow wins. And now, let's start with, as I said, the X-Files. We've got 2 shows to talk about. It's My Struggle was the kind of pilot for the season, the first episode of the season. Can't really say pilot, because I doubt that they had to give Fox a pilot for the X-Files. They probably said, make us 6 episodes, and they're like, yeah, that's what we're going to do. And Founders Mutation is the other episode. So one very mythology-heavy episode, and another that seems to be kind of your standard standalone mystery plot episode, and then turns out to be more connected to the mythology than you might have expected in the first place. I want to start with Brandon, because Brandon's new to the show, and it's fun to put people on the spot that have no idea what we're doing. Brandon, why don't you give us kind of your 2 cents about how you felt about the premiere of this and both episodes you can talk about.
Yes.
And then what we're going to do to try to go a little bit more lickety split because we have so many things to talk about. 8 shows tonight. I said unprecedented. We maybe have had that many before, but boy, it feels like a lot. We're so anyway. I'm gonna have everybody kind of just give their 2 cents about how they felt about the show and the episodes, and then we'll take questions and let you guys really direct our conversation. Brandon, go ahead and start us off, buddy.
Okay, let me just say first and foremost, what a way to bring back a show. You bring back your 2 main people. They're working together again. You bring back the showrunners. You bring back basically the whole thing. They kept this. To me, they've kept this almost perfect stride from where they kind of left off on the X-Files. Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny, they're back together again, and they're working well together, absolutely again. I appreciated the fact that they did this kind of in a 2-part bring it back type of way. Now, I watched the first episode, as well as with you, I watched it on TV. And what they said on TV at the end of the first episode was something to the fact of it's a 2-part premiere event. So now that I've seen the second episode, I can kind of see how they were kind of linked together. It is kind of like a 2-hour opener. So my question is, and I don't know for sure, but I wanted to ask, is that counted as a second episode in that 6-part?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I wasn't sure about
Well, and it doesn't watch like one episode.
No, it doesn't. But at the same time, that's how they kind of branded it in the TV premiere. And that's how I knew that there was a second episode. But I think that they kind of picked up exactly where they left off, and this was true to what the X-Files always has been for me, especially with it seemed like the second episode was kind of a Monster of the Week type of episode, but then it really did tie back into everything they were doing in the first episode. You can see how it's come together, and I think that is kind of the idea. Some of the articles I've read, they said that's kind of how it's going to be in the 6 parts. For me, this was great. This was absolutely wonderful to see this show back on the air and in prime time. Just absolutely wonderful for me.
Let's hear from Manos.
I agree. I enjoyed these first 2 episodes quite a bit. To be honest, I did not even watch the last few episodes of the previous version of the series. So I'm a little foggy on exactly how the show ended, frankly. But I like how it picked up almost like how it never ended, almost in a way. It was just a really long summer break for the show, which has its advantages and disadvantages. I love the fact just for pacing and just to get back into the show, it was very enjoyable. But there is moments where it's like they can just randomly come back anytime they want. I don't know. There were some moments in like the second episode I was like, wow, we didn't waste any time. But otherwise, I enjoyed it. Duchovny and Anderson jumped right back into their characters with no trouble whatsoever. They know these characters a lot. I enjoyed how world-weary Mulder seems to be. He looks exhausted in every scene I've seen him in. He looks pretty beat down. And as well as Anderson, too. Her Scully is also kind of in retirement and a little over it, but she's not as beaten down as he is. And I got to say, I enjoyed these first 2 episodes quite a bit. I thought, especially the second one. The second one ended like a classic episode. It was there were some episodes I enjoyed. The 2 episodes I thought were extremely well done as far as like the effects. It looks. Especially the openings of the first episode. My struggle. God, that UFO stuff is gorgeous. And then those mutant kids were horrifying. But the effects on them were so great, especially the blobby kid. And I was like, I can't believe
the heck out, man.
Well,
and I had to watch that one twice, and I was like, ah!
Yeah, and you kind of didn't know if you'd missed it the second time. Then you told me about it, and I hadn't seen it yet.
I went upstairs to get pizza, and I came back down, and I was like, tell me that we haven't seen the scary blobby kid.
And I was like, we haven't seen the scary blobby kid yet.
Now I gotta watch it.
This episode seemed to be jumping into the fantastic a little more eagerly than the show used to. Like it used to hide stuff a lot from us, but now we're seeing a lot of stuff, which I think is probably not a bad idea, since we've already crossed that barrier anyway.
Okay, go ahead, Steve.
I guess I'll be the dissenting opinion. I wasn't crazy about either of these episodes. They weren't. The thing is, I don't know how much of this is the story isn't working, or I'm not convinced yet. I feel like I have to watch all 6 of these episodes together when they all come out and see if the mystery is really working. But I always enjoyed X-Files being kind of dodgy about some of the things that we see and don't see and some of the conspiracy stuff. The way the first episode premieres with Joel McHale's character and how they just spell out the conspiracy, I don't know. I felt like that was just way too much, way too early. And I don't know. It didn't feel like genuine X-Files to me. I guess I think they're enjoyable episodes. I think they're well made. David Duchovny's fantastic in it, and I like the character stuff we got in the second episode between them and William and all that. But I'm not convinced how much the story's working for me yet. I just have to wait and see how the whole thing plays out.
Steve, I am also kind of withholding judgment about how the mythology stuff's working, the conspiracy stuff, until we get to the end, because I feel like this is territory we've kind of been in with the show before, where it's like it's a conspiracy wrapped inside of a conspiracy wrapped inside of another conspiracy, and just when you think you know what's going on, you open up a box and it's all inside of yet another conspiracy. And that's what the show has always been. I felt like it was Mulder's MO. Here's what I loved about it. I thought it was really tongue-in-cheek about all that, where the characters are taking it all really seriously, but the show is aware of how completely hysterically impossible all of that is.
Of course.
I really enjoyed that about it, and yet at the same time, it kind of creeping me out about a lot of the things that it's bringing up in things that do look like they could all be a big government conspiracy. There's places where Mulder's got me a little bit, where he's mentioning a lot of these scary things that are going on with. I mean, like, I think this is the right time to bring the show back if you're going to do it at all. It's really kind of fun to see all of the stuff that people are kind of scared about when it comes to government surveillance and drones and just all the stuff that we're always talking about, where we've been doing this with so many other shows that feel like things that X-Files would have done, and you're like, where's X-Files when all this is going, and suddenly X-Files comes in, and there's almost like in an amusing way, I think, almost a laundry list in that first episode of stuff we would have loved to have commented on for the 13 episodes we weren't on, and it just kept mentioning stuff, and that was all really fun for me. I thought that the dialogue was really sharp-witted, and that like Brandon and Manos both said that both of our principal actors came back in and were very much those characters again. I do think that I did watch, finding myself thinking that a lot of people would probably think, hey, look, they're too old and haggard and not and really shouldn't be doing this anymore. But I felt but it works because, and I can't decide how much of it is the actors are playing parts that they used to be, much younger and fitter playing, and how much of it was they're doing it on purpose because these are characters that would, be that way. And either way, I don't think it makes a difference. So like the world weariness that Manos is talking about worked for me. But Steve, I'm with you that I can't decide how much to really scrutinize the storytelling yet. All I can tell you is I enjoyed myself immensely. I didn't realize how much I missed the show, and it felt like a thing that in a way has been on all this time. I was impressed that it just jumped right. And I'm having a hard time not comparing this to like Heroes Reborn, other things that were on for a long time and were super popular and then left for a long time and came back. These revival shows. That was a thing that came back and did not, for me, it was better toward the end, but at the beginning didn't feel like it rekindled the flavor and the ambiance of what I love so much about the show. This did. This in using so much of the same behind the scenes crew and everything it's just making the same show, but just now and updated in the ways it needs to be updated. I love that about it. I also liked, I think, but again, I could not like this when I get to the end of this. I also liked that the second episode felt like a one-and-done story, and then like a random thing, and then turned out that it tied in, even though it might be too easy that it tied in. I'm just not sure. The big thing I was wondering, Steve, was you get to the end of the first episode and the smoking man, and by the way, that was creepy. The smoking man is like they've reopened the X-Files, and I'm like, oh, it's weird that they didn't tell us about that before he knew. I realized that they're like on the case and stuff, but the X-Files are officially okay. And then I wasn't sure what even got them involved in the second in the second mystery, and then with the freakish mutated kids, and then that kind of neatly happens to tie in with Scully, and so. If you get to the end and it turns out somebody is directing them to the only like 6 cases that we're going to see in this entire miniseries, then that's great. But otherwise, I'm afraid that it could all look like way too much of a coincidence, and it could look way too much like we're going to get all the answers or more of the answers to all the stuff that we always wondered about that they never really told us in the old show, just because they decided to come back and like, why now? On the other hand, I really kind of liked that nothing important happened in 13 years. Doesn't like, except for stuff with their love child, which they got me with that. I was really surprised toward the end of that episode when it turned out that he was abducted, just like Mulder's sister was, and that he wasn't actually adopted. And I guess they buried that under the rug and pretended like it wasn't a die. Like, I'm not even sure what happened with all that, but I don't know. Like there's potentially intriguing mysteries, or it could be just a whole bunch of random pointless gobbledygook made really well.
That's the thing I'm having right now. Is that there's lots of cool things in the air, but it feels either too convenient or I don't have enough information to make any judgments on it. The big thing, I think, the difference between me and you guys is that I didn't watch the X-Files growing up. I watched all of it like a year ago, so it just feels like I'm getting a new season. And there's no, oh my god, this show is back for me kind of thing. I don't have the same kind of like enjoyment that because it's simply back and it looks the same, because it looks exactly like I remember it a year ago.
Well, how old were you when X-Files went off the air?
Probably 12 or 13.
Yeah, I mean, you could have been a kid.
Yeah. See, for me, I think we just don't have all the information yet. When we started the second episode, I kind of felt like once I got a little more information into the second episode, I felt like they followed a couple of leads to get there.
They did, which is good.
We just couldn't see it.
On the other hand, that show got so convoluted that you can't trust it.
Yes, that's true.
And yet, do I really care in getting to see it back again?
Right.
And look, the writing is at least as good as it was at the end, and that's not fair to how good it is, because it's way better than. I mean, it feels like Chris Carter was like waited around for a long time. It was like, yay, I felt like I could do the show again. There's so much energy in this, Brandon.
Let me just say this though, at least as far as the show coming back.
Steve.
Not only is the show come back and it's kind of the same show, which is amazing. Let's take a look at that intro, shall we?
Yeah.
Sure. The intro. Oh my goodness. Now what they've done here is I compared it with the original intro. Now the music's a little bit of a different pitch. It's a bit of a shorter intro, but it's the identical stuff. They took the background images and they blew them up for the new aspect ratio, but kept the same title, the same fonts in the texts. And they added Walter's card there as a third card, and it's a little bit shorter, but it is that intro from the 90s.
Well, I was really surprised by that. It's just the same intro, and it's awesome. It's so surreal seeing them looking like they're like 22 in that intro.
That was so great.
They're the age they are
they
now.
come in all haggard looking.
Did anybody else think it was hilarious in that second episode when immediately Mulder and Scully are like, or was it even? No, it was like toward the end of the first episode when Mulder and Scully are like, Skinner, are you in on this behind everything? And it's like after everything you guys have been through, really, like you're already pointing the finger at Skinner.
I'm going to say something I thought was hilarious. A couple of things. First off, when they're talking about what is now the classified information about the pictures of those children, and he goes, and Mulder tells Skinner what's all in the file, and then the other guy goes, any dissemination of this information will be met with harsh penalties, when he literally just disseminated the information to Skinner. I thought that was hilarious. Also, something about the original series is that they tried so hard in the original series to keep the disparaging height difference between Anderson and Duchovny
they're not even trying
to a limit. I loved seeing their height.
Really, didn't bother you?
No,
because it's kind of
I loved it because I know there's such a difference in height.
Yeah,
and I just thought it was great. The personal opinion there.
Steve, would you at least agree that it's potentially, especially if they keep running with this theme, a neat idea to deal with potentially the difference between what it means to believe and want to believe? I thought that was cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a really interesting idea. You could do a whole lot with it. It's just a matter of, like, I need some more than saying the line over and over again.
I'm worried it's not enough episodes. is my big thing. I mean, and again, we'll see.
20-40 minutes, because you can do a lot if you did like the Daredevil style 50-minute episodes, and there's only 6 of them. But only 40 minutes on a regular cable network. I'm not sure how much they're going to get done, or maybe they're setting it up for a second season.
And they're not. Like they've already said, they don't know if they're going to do any more. David Duchovny really early on did an interview when it was first announced and said, "Nobody expect full seasons, guys. We're old. We can't do that much with this kind of physical work anymore." He said, "I mean, that's his words, not mine. We're old. We can't do that
How many
much
shows
anymore."
are doing it like this now? Just a few episodes here,
Nothing.
and then there's some like Curb Your Enthusiasm does very like one episode here, one episode here, one episode here. There's a couple of shows out there. I think if they wanted to do it in like 6 episodes spurts,
I would be surprised, especially given the ratings. It's doing really well. Like, I think it had like a 7 million opening or something, and it did really well. And the second episode did fine too. Yeah, sure. And I expected it to do well. I didn't think it would do that well. But I'd be real surprised if they didn't come back with more. Steve, you might not agree with this, but I thought that first episode was actually super dense. It felt like 2 hours to me. I mean, like, I thought they actually got quite a bit done. But part of that's because I didn't think that they'd go that far in the mythology direction and say everything from 9 seasons maybe doesn't even matter. So, I
mean, it was dense, but it was also just a lot of explaining in the middle there.
No, I know that, but you got to remember that in X-Files, there's always lots of explaining that might not be explaining. It might just be misdirection.
That's true. And again, that's the whole thing, and I just don't know right now.
Yeah.
Mulder's always jumping to conclusions anyway.
Real quick before we take questions and comments, the other thing I want to say is I don't like that we got an episode Sunday and Monday. I mean, if they'd done like a 2-hour pilot, or I mean a 2-hour premiere, okay, I guess. But it's kind of bittersweet because we're only going to get 6, and you shot that much of it all at once. Like, I would have liked to have seen it drawn out a little bit more, especially because the first 2 episodes were so disconnected.
Well, a week and a week, that could easily have been the first one on the first week and the second one on the second week.
Well, yeah, it watched that way. And again, I was excited that it wasn't, because the thing is, after that, not knowing that they were going to have another one the very next day, I watched that first episode and went, oh man, you're going to give us that kind of a cliffhanger, and then I know you're not going to do anything with it for at least 2 weeks, if not 3.
You were wondering about that, absolutely.
I knew because knowing that they were going to do some mythology and some standalone, I knew that the very next episode would not be another heavy mythology episode. The only way you get that is if it was a 2-hour premiere. Anyway, Rasco, how about some questions, pal?
Okay, this is from William Parcell. Did you buy them being able to bring back Mulder back to the FBI after the show, or after how the last season ended?
Yeah, God, boy, it's just been so long. That's the thing, is I'm probably enjoying this more than I would have if it hadn't been for how long it's been since I've seen that last season. Steve, you've seen it more recently than me, so is that part of the issue for you?
A little bit, yeah. Like my whole thing was the second episode opens, and it's just bizarre that Mulder and Scully are back at the FBI, and we don't see any in between stuff. It didn't seem like Mulder burned bridges completely with the FBI at the end of season 9, but it still feels like there should have been a discussion somewhere, and maybe we'll get it later, but maybe we won't. So I'm just not sure.
I felt that the Walter Skinner stuff kind of just summarized. To me, it summarized really well. Kind of like he's like, let's not get in too heated of an argument here right off the bat. Let's kind of go here. You can see there's a little bit of tension there, and I think for me, it's kind of the right amount.
Yeah, I still thought it was odd they were just right back at the FBI like they never left. I'm with Steve on that. It didn't kill it, but I don't know. But there was a lot of that in the show too. I mean, like they would always, Steve did this all the time. They would always make a big deal out of they've closed the X-Files. It's like no, they do that all the time.
Now all the files are missing.
Manos, are you looking for an article or something? Because I see David Duchovny on part of that magazine.
Oh no, sorry.
Oh no, I thought you were doing research or something, and I was very excited to see your presentation.
Yeah, I decided to take some time off. This is an issue of Us magazine back when they were an actual magazine. Jillian
yeah,
Anderson.
I remember that cover. Yeah.
This is back in 90-something, 97.
Wow.
All right.
Why do you have that?
Because Jillian Anderson's on the cover. I was a huge X-Files fan, by the way. So I actually bought everything I could about X-Files back in the day. So yeah, I was kind of a big fan.
Well, I admit I had a huge crush on Gillian Anderson back in the day. So.
I mean, just looking at her in the show, she still looks fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Manos, did you think that this was an easy show? Manos, did you feel excluded or something?
No. You guys, discuss it. It's fine.
I mean, I was waiting for you to jump in if you have more stuff to say, and then all of a sudden you're back reading the magazine, and I'm like, what did we do to offend Manos?
Everything.
Manos, I was just curious because you said that you didn't remember those last seasons real well, or maybe even missed a couple. Did you find it really easy to jump back into this like I did? And like I said, I'm afraid that maybe part of why I'm not scrutinizing it as much is because it's been too long and that they're kind of catering to people that either haven't seen it or haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah, I had no problem jumping back into the show, and I pretty much skipped the last season because it just got so shark jumpy at that point, where Duchovny wasn't in the show, Anderson was barely in the show, and I was following a bunch of people I did not care about, following stuff that was kind of just, I don't know, like, a lot of the conspiracies in the last season were like kind of closing the barn door after the cows had left. There was the conspiracies in the show over the years had gotten like so convoluted. It was like that ball of tangled Christmas lights from Christmas Vacation. That was pretty much the conspiracies. Where if you tried to make any sense of this,
those Christmas lights are conspiracies.
Yeah, you're going to drive yourself nuts. And to be honest, after a while, I did learn not to take not to take the conspiracies too seriously, not to expect them to connect because they don't. And that's kind of what I'm doing with this show. To be honest, I almost don't care how these conspiracies line up and how they connect with the old conspiracies in the previous show. I'm kind of more interested in the story. And how it affects these characters and where they go from point A to point B. The conspiracies, to me, are kind of a MacGuffin. They're the money in the briefcase in Psycho. Like, I kind of don't care, like, who did what for this company and what aliens or not aliens or stuff like that. I'm curious where to see Mulder and Scully go. I'm wondering how much their child is going to have to do with the story with episode 2, so... We'll see. I'm very excited towards the next episode, which is the Monster of the Week episode, which are always my favorite episodes of the series.
Yeah, and then watch you get to the last 15 minutes, and it turns out that it's all roped into the...
That's fine. That's cool. That's actually, I like the way that...
Why do you almost... Sorry, yeah.
You can go in and, enjoy it. And it's connected to the larger story. I mean, a lot of shows I watch kind of do that. That's actually, I think that's a good way to tell a story, frankly.
I just wonder if you're only going to do 6. Like, it seems like a really small amount of episodes to have every kind of show that series always had. Because Carter's made a big deal out of, we want to bring back, we want to make this like a proof of concept again. Like, here's what this show was supposed to be. We've got our conspiracy episodes, our mythology things. We've got the Freak of the Week, and we have our comedy episodes. He mentioned all 3 of those, and like we're only doing 6.
I assume they're going to get... I hope they get them all in. So far, so good. I'm curious to see where they're taking the storyline.
Rasco, I have another question.
Okay, William Parcell asks, what do you think of the new direction, with it possibly being evil humans behind everything and not aliens?
I will say this: they made the scientist, the doctor from the first episode back, and how he's the same. He's the old guy who was the informant for Mulder, and in the first episode he says something very specific. He says there are 2 things that happened in that first episode. He said that Roswell was a smoke screen, and then another place in an episode they say that the Russians tried it in '47.
Yeah.
So Roswell wasn't actually an alien crash landing. I think it was a mutated human that they sent to be an alien crash landing in the United States.
That is probably what that is. Yeah.
So the doctor's saying that was a smokescreen. It wasn't an alien we found at Roswell. It was an alien-human hybrid from the Russians where they tried to look like there was an alien invasion coming in.
You know what I keep thinking? When they started talking about how there was no alien invasion, there was no alien conspiracy cover-up, you know what I instantly thought of? I thought of the episode Joseph Chunks from Outer Space, which essentially contradicts the alien conspiracy, if you remember that episode. That's when the writer comes in to interview Scully.
Oh yeah, I vaguely
And
remember that.
it starts with two teenagers being abducted, and then they turn out to be abducted by like actual like government guys pretending to be aliens, and you know, and then it throws in this third question, like this other entity kidnaps them or something like that, and that episode ends on a mystery. I mean, it's not, the questions in that episode are never answered throughout the show, and I do wonder how connected that is to this.
It's not a giant leap, given that so much of the stuff that, so much of the conspiracy stuff obviously always was government stuff and people trying to get Mulder off the trail of where he was going. So, like, that didn't surprise me as much as the baffling statement that Roswell was a smokescreen. Now, they're like, how far back does it go? And then the other thing I was wondering is, isn't that ultimately the only way you can do it if it turns out that everything we thought might have been aliens working? Because remember there was the whole, like, aliens working with the government? That was a thing. Right. Isn't that the only thing that makes any sense? Because otherwise you've got aliens randomly sending craft down for no reason. Right. The government constantly stealing them. Why are they doing that? Why is there not a war?
When you take those two statements together like I did, and then also with the fact that they have the ARVs, the alien recreation vehicles, I think that's what he called him in there. And you take that, and then you realize that those must have come from the Russians. Those two statements combined.
Are you talking about the triangle craft?
The triangle craft that he sees that hovers. It really must go back further than that. Yeah. And what they talk about is
it's the pyramids, Brandon.
And, well, no. What Mulder is saying is he starts to say, the military-industrial complex, but it wasn't until World War II that everything came together where they could kind of start to control everyone, and that, the masters of men, just a few elite controlling everyone else. Yeah. That they tried it way earlier, indicating that the aliens must have come way earlier. Right. But they couldn't get it done till much later, and that's when they tried it in 47. And then it just goes from there. So I do think it does go back.
Somebody
I think there's going to go there.
Explain to me how the old guy from Roswell is still alive. Because they kill the woman with the alien blood with the triangle ship, and I just don't buy that guy would even be allowed to still be alive, especially since he's got to be like 90.
Well, he's in hiding, right? Isn't he?
I feel like they would find him, but maybe he's
he
just
talks
that
about,
good.
He wants, there nobody to be around when they meet under any circumstances. This, that, and the.
We've really got to move on, but of course, as I said, this is 2 episodes, so a lot to talk about. Rasco, let's get one more question. I'm sorry we didn't answer more things from the audience with this particular episode, but like I said, we've got 8 to do tonight, and I want to kind of get a move on it.
So that was a 2-part episode anyway.
As I said, yeah. Rasco, go ahead and give me one more question, sir.
Red Leader Antilles asks, I watched this show up to season 6, but didn't catch up in time. Can you ask Cap if I need to watch the movie and finale season to get this?
I don't think you need to watch it to get it, and I actually think that all you really need to do is, and you obviously do if you watch this, especially that much of it, is just to watch a couple episodes to get a sense of what the premise is and what it feels like. Because this is, in my opinion, and I'm disagreeing with Steve a little bit when I say this, genuine X-Files. I feel like you can watch this, you're just watching X-Files. And even though, now I mean, like it might if it turns out that they really are changing a lot of what the conspiracy stuff was and giving you more of the mythology and explaining things finally, you might go back and watch stuff and be like, well, now I know too much. I guess that could sort of happen, but I don't. But so the reverse of it could, I don't know. But I do think that you can watch it without watching any more than you've watched. I mean, frankly, I haven't watched past 6 in a very long time, and I'm enjoying it. But I might be enjoying it out of ignorance. So I'd also say that if you haven't watched that much, you'll probably like it more.
Well, here's what I had to say to that. Cap and I went and saw the last movie in the theater together, and it was very much a Monster of the Week type.
It wasn't great.
As far as it was X-Files, it was one of the Monster of the Week episodes. It really didn't tie into the whole overall mythology, and there was some. It felt really forced in their ideas.
Do watch I Want to Believe, though, because that's a really mythology-heavy movie and actually had a lot to do with stuff like that. Right. And it's legitimately really good, I think. Not everybody agrees with that, but I think they're wrong. I think I Want to Believe is really good. Or not I Want to Believe. That's the new one. Fight the Future.
Yeah, it's Fight the Future.
The first X-Files movie. Yeah.
I don't remember the name of it.
I think it's actually really good. But yeah. Anyway. Anybody else though want to? That was directed specifically at me. But does anybody else want to weigh in on that? Like, do you think you need to see more of it?
I don't think it's too tough. I think you just need to know stuff happens, and they're tired, and
Have a basic
saw
premise
a lot of stuff, and that's kind of it. I don't know. I think the first 2 episodes explained quite a bit to us.
Mhm.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and move on now, and we'll talk more about this, obviously, next week. And, I don't know, Brandon. I'm excited to get to watch it again tomorrow.
Me too.
Let's go ahead and move on now to The Flash, and the episode in question is The Reverse Flash Returns. We finally...
Speaking of returning, I will return later.
Awesome, cool. Thanks, Brandon. So Reverse Flash Returns, finally we get to see the guy playing the actual real Eobard Thawne, like, get to do stuff. I was excited about that. I was really surprised that we finally got to see that guy's acting chops, and, yeah, I don't think he's as good as the guy playing Harrison Wells, but I think that he held his own and did a pretty decent job. I'm not going to say a whole lot yet. I'm just going to throw out, I think this is one of the best episodes of the season, and it was fun to wrap up some Reverse Flash stuff from the last season, and the Patty stuff, surprisingly, it made me almost more okay with, or at least I enjoyed it more this episode, even though I still have huge issues with relationship things and how we're dealing with them in Flash right now, but whatever. Let's hear first from TheCuriousLo. What's your 2 cents on this episode, Lo?
Well, it's funny that you brought up the relationship stuff right off the back, because I know last week I was kind of talking about how I was not a fan of everything that was happening with Patty, and as much as I would prefer it not to be as kind of dramatic as it's being, I enjoyed it a lot more this episode than I did the previous episode. I kind of bought more where Patty was coming from. And as silly as it was for her to call him and try to bring him there, like, I get why she did it, and I get that she was trying to give him cause to actually finally tell her. But yeah, I don't know. I liked the episode. I agree with you that I think it was kind of one of the better episodes of this season. I haven't really thought about all the other episodes as to where it ranks as necessarily the best. This whole Cisco plot was a little convoluted for my taste. I didn't really understand why he was suddenly like seizing and freaking out, but yeah, overall it was still, I feel like I say this about Flash every week, but it's just very middle of the ground. I don't love Flash, like, it's definitely not my favorite show, but I don't hate it by any means. It's just, you know, fun show to watch, and it continues to be that for me every week.
Yeah, and I feel like more and more as we're talking about the CW shows, it's like we just shouldn't think that hard about it, because I don't know that they're very often trying to give us much more than that, which is okay as long as they're not trying to make us think they're trying to give us much more than that. Steve, what did you think of this one?
I agree with Cap in that it's the best episode of the season so far, but I agree with Lowen as to what that means, as in it's just okay. Because this whole season has been pretty bad to just okay. I guess this will prove how little I'm interested in the way this is going. My favorite moment of the episode is that scene where Wells is trying to explain what happens to Cisco, and the performance Tom Cavanaugh gives, where he's repeating words, he's kind of slurring, he's really anxious. It's a really good performance. He's really freaked out. I like that a lot. Everything else is just kind of eh. I don't understand why Jay Garrick needed to keep his whole sickness and doppelganger thing a secret for as long as he did. It doesn't make any sense. He could have just introduced himself with that. Well, hey, by the way, I'm going to die if you don't stop Zoom. You could have just led with that. I don't know why it had to be a mystery. Time travel makes even less sense now. I didn't think that was possible, but it does. And it was cool to get Eobard Thawne back. Him and Flash's fight is kind of cool, and the special effects at the end when he's throwing him into the future is cool, although it opens up the question of, if Barry's fast enough to run through time as often as he does, how much faster does he actually need to be? And how much faster is Zoom than him, if they can just do that?
Yeah, why doesn't Zoom just go back in time, mess stuff up, and then well, I guess it's anything in this continuity now that you want to say is time locked, right? Like,
yeah, and I mean it's like a Dragon Ball Z problem of, you introduce your character strong enough to destroy the planet. I have no concept or scale for what's stronger than that. But yeah, it's just okay. It's an alright episode, better than last week for sure.
I want to ask you a couple questions. Like I said, I did like this a lot. I mean, and I think I maybe have overall liked this season maybe even a little bit more than Steve, but still, there's been some mediocre storytelling. I liked like I said, I like the Eobard Thawne stuff a lot, but the time travel is going to break my head if I try to think about it too much. And like I said last week with Legends of Tomorrow, and of course this is the same continuity, my head will absolutely just turn into a bowl of Jello if I because we had the whole thing of we made it to where he never existed, and then I guess at some point he does exist, but it's a time-locked thing, fixed thing you can't change. So even though he doesn't exist, he did, and it's whatever. You're just saying things. There's not any actual rules. All right.
Yeah, you pair that with Legends of Tomorrow's explanation about time being like concrete, and it doesn't line up. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So I'm very confused about that. I want to know, and this I don't think is asking too much about the time travel. Steve, riddle me this, Lo and Steve. How is it not common knowledge from the future that Eobard Thawne comes from? What time period the Flash is from?
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Somebody in the comments.
I just stopped questioning it after a while.
Yeah, really.
If I miss something, someone, because it's like, so what, he's like rushing around through time, I don't know when the Flash is from. Okay? Well, he's from a time period that, like, keeps records and has lots of video and books and things, and there's probably a museum for him. In fact, I think we know that there is, and
yeah,
how do you not know when he's from? I don't understand that! Okay.
The bigger question is, what is the museum keeping track of if they don't even know when the Flash first showed up?
Yeah, I want to talk a minute about the relationship stuff. The thing I am so impressed by is that, and also really perplexed by, is that at the same time as we're playing this for cheap drama, and I want to be fair, is it cheap drama as much as it's we know we're supposed to put our character in various types of peril, both with external and internal conflicts, and we simply have written ourselves into a circle where, it being a superhero thing, all we know to do is to keep playing the game of he has to try to have a personal life and a superhero life, and he doesn't know how to do that, so he can't tell the girl things or she'll be in trouble. Like, is it cheap drama, or is it that we're doing circular? And the reason I'm asking that is because how, at the same time as just doing stuff for the sake of cheap drama, we're also keeping Patty so completely reasonable and understanding throughout the entire thing. I never thought I'd see that. I mean, and I said this last week, I thought we turned her into what Iris was last year, and that didn't happen, and that's very, very surprising to me. I felt really bad for her. I felt like she was a character in a smarter show trapped in this show.
Yeah, I've liked Patty like consistently more than any other character on this show, and she's been in it less than pretty much any other character on the show. So it makes me sad that she's leaving and that they're now not allowing Barry to be smart and let her in, because she's a perfect and a police officer who can take care of herself, and he's just
Yeah.
I'm going to start ranting about it.
Yeah, I want to make an entire video about this subject, because, and I might do a superhero rewind at some point, not reviewing anything, but simply talking about this phenomena. Let me ask you guys this question. And I talked to Dan about this the other day, and we were noodling this a little bit. I want to get you guys' 2 cents on this. Explain to me, and maybe I'm just not thinking about this right. Maybe this is me, but explain to me how you're dating a person, and you're perfectly fine with being the superhero and dating the girl, and you don't want her to know that you are the superhero, even though you're going to keep being the superhero, because if she knew, that somehow puts her in more danger than just dating her in the first place. Because the issue is, if one of your villains finds out that you're the superhero, then they can hurt anybody you're close to. So I kind of get the idea of, well, if they know, then they'll get tortured and they can try to get that information out of them. But the question I have is, wouldn't that happen anyway? Wouldn't they think, well, maybe that person that he's dating would know he's the superhero, and so they would torture her anyway and wouldn't buy that she doesn't know? So, like, the fact that you're even, like affiliating yourself with anyone, the fact that you have friends even, the fact that you have a family, anything, the fact that you have a secret identity, doesn't that put everyone you know at risk no matter what they know?
Yes, it does.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
The fact
'Cause I
that
didn't think
Bond
about
is
this.
like Star Labs means he has absolutely no reason to keep his identity secret from any of his girlfriends.
Hey, I got a question. Does CW stand for cheap writing?
Yes. Yes,
But
that's
to
exactly
be
right.
fair, because I don't want to just throw easy snowballs. To be fair, Manos, we've seen this in tons and tons and tons of superhero stuff, and oftentimes it's played, in movies and stuff, like the Spider-Man movies did this, as like a legitimate thing. I think I can't believe I'm saying this. I think second season of Smallville did it okay with Pete Ross, where the moment he actually knew that Clark had superpowers, he gets kidnapped, and I mean, yeah, maybe a little bit convenient, but he gets kidnapped and tortured, and he actually knows the information, but he pretends like he doesn't all the way through, and then he's a more endearing character because he's trying to help the heroes. I mean, like, I've seen it done okay, but the problem is, we're at a point now with Barry Allen, and I think that we arrived there with Oliver, and we've moved past it already a real long time ago. We're in a place now with Barry Allen where he is not anything like a sympathetic character if he ever dates anyone ever again, right? Like, he can't date ever anyone, and you know he will. So they're going to make me not like him more because, right? And also, like Lo said, she's a police officer. She's the person that you could date that would be the most able to handle herself if she dealt with a supervillain. And, like I said last episode, she got kidnapped by a guy who didn't even know they were a thing or who Barry Allen was. So yeah,
Just saw that
I
the
don't know.
Flash
They have,
wanted to protect her and was like, okay, I'm gonna take this person. Here we go. Like,
the way that story ends is he says, "Oh, okay, I can't control the universe," and right? That's how that story ends. But that's not how it ended.
And isn't that how we got them together in the first place? In her initial appearance, when they did the whole Flash of Two Worlds thing, and she was kidnapped, and Jay Garrick had to help Barry save her, and the whole justification is, yeah, go ahead and date her. You don't have to worry about her.
Yeah. So anyway, well, I'm sorry for that rant and for how elongated that was, but I wanted to spell it out and make sure that I was not a crazy person because I don't understand that. And I've been studying superhero fiction for 7 years now on this channel, and that has never made sense to me. And it comes up all the time. And anyway. Rasco, how about some questions?
Keith Hastings asks, why is Caitlin still on the show? She does absolutely nothing.
Good question.
She's there to look at alternate Jay Garricks on park benches. That was just for a reveal, right? Like, what was the whole? You need to see it. I can't just tell you. And then it's like, here's my doppelganger. Yeah, he looks like you. That's kind of what I would have expected. I love that question. I don't have an answer for it, sir. Rasco,
Well.
you answer that question, Rasco. Why is Caitlin Snow still on the show?
Well, they hired her, and she expects that they'll still want to use her in the show, so she keeps showing up for work, and that's why. Confirmed.
You have to wonder whether or not she ever gets scripts, and she just kind of ad-libs her dialogue from episode to episode, because she never says anything of consequence.
Yeah.
How about another one, Rasco? That was a good explanation, by the way, Rasco. That's as good as anything.
Thanks.
Yeah, sure. Way to step up.
The Ponderer asks, am I alone in thinking that Barry is only getting worse each episode? Patty's stuff aside, he was willing to let Cisco die just to hold on to Thawne, if only for a moment.
I'm sorry, I missed that last part. You kind of cut it in and out. What was that about Thawne?
Oh, just he was willing to let Cisco die just to hold on to Thawne for a little bit longer.
Yeah, I guess I hadn't really thought about it like that. I only watched this episode once, so I don't know if I'm remembering it.
I was too busy still being confused as to why Cisco was really in danger, other than just, I don't know. Maybe I missed something.
In particular is a good question, too.
Well, doesn't it kind of, as a viewer, phase you out of the dimension you were in watching the show sometimes when they put people in danger? Because we know that nobody dies in this universe. Even people that died before the show started aren't dead. You know, I mean, like, I'm not worried about anyone. This show will kill a person off twice and bring them back every time. I'm just this universe. I'm really not worried about anybody.
It's so weird because it's the characters that you like want to be brought back that they don't, like Tommy Merlin.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like one of two characters that has died and stayed dead, and that's like him and Barry's mom. Like the
You know,
two.
we're going to find out that somehow or rather Tommy has been alive this entire time. It makes no sense.
Training to take over and make a Green Arrow show that's actually about Green Arrow.
The only way I could be worried about anybody's mortality in the show is if the actor died.
Take care of that.
Rasco,
So,
how about... Yeah.
Dimitri in the comments just said Cisco's vibe powers connect him to all the timelines, so when there's a paradox, maybe it hurts him. And I love that he used the word maybe, because that just emphasizes the fact that we really have no idea what's happening. We're like,
Especially
maybe
considering
it's hurting him?
into the future, and we never like know the future concretely in this universe, so I have no idea how his powers work.
Steve, I challenge you to use the word concrete every time we talk about time travel with these shows now. Would you do that for me? Would you use concrete every time, please? Thank you.
Yes, that'll be fine.
Hey, Rasco, how about one more question, sir?
Okay, this is from Johnny Torch. My only complaint is that I hate when they let a character uncover a secret identity using common sense because by that reckoning anybody could do and should be able to figure it out.
But you see, she's a detective, so I guess what we can say is that in this universe, only people with that have gone to school for detecting things have common sense. But
Yeah,
yeah, I hear what you're saying. I don't totally disagree with it.
Iris is a journalist and she couldn't figure the truth out, so she's either bad at her job or Patty's really good at hers.
Yeah, that's the thing is the fact that they made Iris an idiot, does that make Patty smarter somehow? Yeah.
It could be a prequel trilogy thing where this actually takes place in the Star Wars universe and someone is making everyone stupid.
No, Wells is Palpatine.
Yeah.
I could see
I don't know. Maybe she's being a journalist has something to do with it. Maybe, journalism school in the DC universe is just awful.
What's funnier about that? Yeah, and that makes her galactically stupid. You remember Lois Lane and Lois and Clark?
That's right.
But yeah, that's the thing is that she's not just a journalist. She's trying to be an investigative journalist. Like she's got a blog where she's trying to figure stuff out. And then we have this is a detective. She actually is smart and can know things that your average person should be able to figure out pretty quickly. Where she's like, I'm a detective. He was here, and then Flash was here after he disappeared. He might be the Flash. Not only Iris West couldn't figure that out, Steve Baxi couldn't figure that out because he's not a detective. All right, let's try to move on, shall we? I know we talked mostly negative things on this. We're moving kind of lickety-split, and frankly, that's the stuff that stuck out to me to talk about. But like I said, I enjoyed the important things. Wells is wonderfully sufficiently creepy and feels like he's going to turn into sort of another big bad again, being another version of himself and people. And once again, kind of at the same point in the season last year, I'm thinking he's killing people and nobody knows about it. That's kind of fun. But anyway, all right, let's go ahead and move on now to Arrow. The episode is A.W.O.L, and we have already done what I was expecting would happen soon, and in my mind, continues to further my expectation that Diggle is the one in the grave, because we're wrapping up everything with him. Anything that we thought might remotely need to be wrapped up, considering we didn't do anything with him through most of season 2. And anyway, so we've got him basically reconciling with his brother in one episode with flashbacks for them in the military and who Andy Diggle is and who Andy he's a comic book writer. No, he's not. He's a guy who is willing to do anything to get whatever he wants and pretend like he's still above board and altruistic with his brother. And then we've got Felicity with her. This whole thing was so silly, Steve. I think, but Felicity with her goth version of herself that she's hallucinating that looks like Neil Gaiman's death, and I hadn't put that together until this time. And I thought maybe they were because the necklace she has a similar symbol to that, and I was wondering and I didn't look it up. Is that the same symbol?
I don't know if it's the same symbol. I didn't realize that until he just pointed it out.
because it wasn't something I noticed. In fact, at first I didn't even realize people are going to think I'm stupid, but at first, it sounded like her voice, and then we saw her, and I was like, wait a minute. Is Felicity seeing Neil Gaiman's death in this show? And then it turns out that it's her just hallucinating her old goth self who's telling her that the person she's being is just a mask and she's just pretending, and that she actually still wants to be the hacker version of herself that doesn't care about anyone and isn't a hero. And Steve, it's kind of Three Ghosts again, but not nearly as good, and still has the problem I had with that. And that was a good show, but the big problem I always had with it was it turned out that it wasn't actually drugs, and it really was just somebody hallucinating, and most people don't hallucinate like that unless they are really mentally unstable or have some sort of psychotic break, and that's not what we have here. So it's just a silly TV thing, and we're just manifesting it. It would be okay if we didn't take it too far, right? Where if it's like that's how we were on the show, sort of processing it for the viewer, but when you go to the place where she's yelling at the hallucination in front of Oliver Queen, we've taken it too far if she hasn't had a psychotic break or is on drugs or it's not Neil Gaiman's death. So anyway, Steve, this was much better than last week. It's not awful by this season's standards, but it was pretty predictable by the end, and I thought it was just okay, but I'm not going to say bad.
Yeah, it's not awful. It's just okay. Look, there's nothing about it that's 100% stupid. It's just not very good. The big thing that I walked away with by the time this episode ended and we got that reveal from the flashbacks is we are really, really lucky Moira hired John Diggle to be Oliver's bodyguard all those years ago. It's, it's fantastic. Where would we have been if she hired some other dude?
Yeah, isn't it a giant coincidence? I never thought of this. Yeah, sorry. I don't mean to break into your thing, but it occurs to me that isn't it then a giant coincidence that John Diggle is so wrapped up with what's her face, Amanda Waller?
Yeah, it's all just one massive coincidence. It was fine when there was like a little bit of a separation where Diggle dealt with Waller and Arrow dealt with other things, but then we started mixing them together and it just became this one big convenient history.
Well, it's even worse when it's history. It's even worse when it's Island stuff from season 3. Oh yeah. No! Yeah, and then we've got a flashback that's got to have the Diggles mixed up and all that early on, and then the guy, the bad guy from the flashbacks is the bad guy now because we always have to do that. It can't just be a subtle. It's connected thematically thing, right? We can't do that. It's gonna be the same bad guy. Anyways.
Yeah, exactly. I like some of the stuff with Diggle's brother. I like that scene at the end a lot when he gets to meet Diggle's daughter, and I like the scene where he says that Diggle forced them both to join the military, and he just assumed that his brother would be physically fit for it, and he wasn't. And I like that. I like that he would be receptive towards him for that. At the same time, it's all too fast. I feel like it could have handled this a lot better if Diggle's brother or some kind of not only more character, but just more room to breathe. Like he's living in a cage for 5 episodes. And we just seem to randomly give him character moments when the plot requires it. The Felicity stuff I really didn't like, mostly because it never gets a conclusion. He has that big breakdown of the hallucination. Then she's just okay and doing her job. And there's no middle scene. There's no moment where she confronts her own hallucination. It's really bizarre. It's edited kind of weirdly, and I wonder if there's a missing scene there or not. And then also, Oracle, her name's not Oracle now, it's Overwatch, but she's Oracle.
Well, honestly, the Overwatch thing is fine. I think that's a fine name. It's weird that she had to get her legs broken before she had to lose her legs before she was allowed to have a special code name, given that Diggle already has one to go along with his dumb helmet. What made that stupid was I was gonna call it. He almost looks at the camera, right? I was gonna call you Oracle, but that was taken. Taken by in-universe. You're just speaking to the audience at that point. It doesn't mean anything. It's this stupid fourth wall breaking thing. I don't like things like that. Please don't do that. It was basically the show saying we're angry because DC won't let us do that. Unless DC didn't say anything about it, in which case they think they're being cute and clever, and it's irritating. But yeah, that was dumb.
Yep, it's a Batman show. It can deny it all it wants. It's a Batman show.
Look, I don't even care that it's a Batman show. It's always been that. And I liked it more when it was more of a Batman show. I mean, yeah, that's always silly, and we can always make fun of it for that, but this show had Ra's al Ghul. He can have an Oracle, that's fine. Like, I don't have a problem with that, personally.
Hey, Logan, I know I didn't watch this episode, but do you mind if I comment briefly on that Oracle line?
Sure, Manos. Yeah.
Okay. Boo! Boo! Weak! Okay. I'm done.
I'm with you. It was kind of weak. Yeah, absolutely. Steve, I didn't trust that when she started talking to Oliver and seemed to have things figured out for herself, that is really what had happened. And I thought maybe the hallucination or whatever it was had kind of taken over and was pretending, and that it was too easy and too fast. And then it turned out that it just was that. Like I was with you, I thought something was missing, and then you got to the end, and it's like, oh, really? It really is just her hallucinating this older version of herself and having, like, I think it's fine to personify that. I think that you just took it too far because it looks like a mental illness.
Yeah, I mean, again, Three Ghosts did that, but it had a beginning, middle, and end with those hallucinations. They meant something, and they were actually having an argument. The hallucination of Felicity is saying nonsense to her. Like, her lines aren't even consistent with themselves.
No, she's just taunting her. You know what it felt like? And I know. Manos brought up Saban and Power Rangers a lot last week when we talked about Legends, but it reminded me of anytime you'd have somebody with or something in Power Rangers, you'd have like the evil Green Ranger taunting Tommy,
yeah.
where he just say random generic taunty things until we decided that we were done with that and he gets over it. Like, that's what this feels like.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
I think they could have done something neat with that. Potentially, maybe. I think honestly it would have been kind of more fun to see Felicity. Now, it would have had to been gradual, but to see Felicity actually decided to go back to her old hacker goth self for a while. That might have been fun. Although I might be saying that, and then if they'd done that, I might have hated it. But I'm just saying.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe I can't say that. Rasco, how about some questions, sir?
Okay, William Parcell asks, where is Diggle's brother's family? He had a wife and a kid.
Yeah, that's a good question. We're just gonna let them live, knowing that their father is actually alive, or what?
Hey, Cap, everybody's echoing on your end.
Everybody's echoing on my end? Mm-hmm. Oh, good. Awesome. Okay, well, I'll grab headphones for now. That's a thing that I wasn't doing because we had Brandon, but I can do it right now. Sorry, Brandon. Brandon's not going to be able to hear the other side of the conversation now. And he's either crying or he's turned into a ghost. I'm not sure.
He's a Wookiee.
Really sad Wookiee, yeah.
He's a and that's the last thing you get to hear, apparently. Sorry, Brandon. You can put on headphones and turn your phone on if you want to. The show is going on YouTube.
I got Skype on my phone
right now. Why would Skype help? Anyway, okay, where were we?
Diggle's brother's family, yeah, about that whole thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. How about another question?
AMC Comics asks, okay, so has there been like an explanation as to why Andy is still alive? I mean, Deadshot sure thought he was dead.
I think they said something about like Hive giving Deadshot a magic bullet that made Deadshot think he was dead, but he really wasn't. But that doesn't make any sense because why is Diggle's brother any more important than anyone else in Hive?
Yeah, I know.
Why would you go to that trouble? I don't get it.
And why did they hire Deadshot specifically and all that? Yeah, it was just pointless retconning in order to give Diggle. Honestly, it feels like it's just there to give Diggle something to do.
Which was a problem the show had during season 2 and 3, where Diggle was just doing nothing, and now he's doing too much.
Because too much that doesn't make sense and isn't that compelling. I mean, like, what he was... The driving force behind who he was and why he wanted to work with Oliver and everything was the the corruption that led to that. I thought.
That's what I thought as well.
Whatever.
Diggle's brother was a really great man, and apparently not. And everything we know about that character is just gone, but it still stands because.
Man, it's just that interesting. I mean, like Diggle should have this huge. Kind of identity crisis at this point, I would think, and I feel like this is just to give him kind of a happy send off, so that we can kill him and so we can kill him off, but he won't have like all these all this unfinished business. And I don't see the point of that. Like if they want to kill him off, like kill him off and leave all that.
Yeah.
Now, I might be wrong. I mean, like, that's my theory. I haven't talked to anybody else about this besides the panel, so I don't know if other people have other, assumptions of who's going to be in the grave. But maybe it won't be Diggle. But I just think it would be really strange if they were suddenly doing all this family stuff and wrapping that up so nice and neatly in a bow, at least right now, if that's not who it is.
It seems like a perfect choice right now, but it could be a red herring, and they could not make any sense because it's Arrow, so we'll see.
Yeah, and they could bring back whoever's in the grave, like, first episode of next season. Or they could even I don't trust anything. They could string us along all season about who's in the grave and then bring them back from the dead 2 episodes after that. Like, anything can happen.
Or just
What if it's Malcolm Merlin?
Time traveled in Legends, so they're both alive and dead depending on what show you're watching.
Rasco, don't you know, no grave can hold him.
Or Tommy comes back to life and then dies immediately when he's in the grave.
And then Felicity is like, I only knew him for 12 minutes, but kill that guy. Kill Damien Dark.
I miss Tommy.
Poor Tommy.
I'm just saying that because I don't think Felicity had hardly any screen time with Tommy Merlin.
I don't think she had any either.
That's
Or
true.
much. Hey, how about one more, Rasco?
Okay, Mind the Gap says, could Lila be the one who dies? She has gotten a lot of scenes in the season so far.
I guess she
Would anyone-
could, but
Yeah, I don't think the audience would. But then, I don't trust anything. It seriously could be anyone. It could be the campaign manager. It could be anybody.
really could, honestly.
They won't do that.
And Red Leader and Tilly's wants me to point out that Sin has no idea that Sarah is alive.
I don't think
happened to her?
anyone on the show has any idea that Sin's alive. I mean, like, what happened to her? I still love.
Sin in the grave.
What happened to the whole Sarah takes care of Sin because of the whole dying promise to her dad thing? Is that just gone now?
And let me remind everybody that they never made her stupid. Like, she was okay.
And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, Sarah dies in the opening of Season 3, and Sin never shows up in Season 3. So does Sin even know that she died?
So, Sin's gonna show up on Legends of Tomorrow. That's where they're gonna put her.
Yeah, and then Sarah's gonna go to her in the past. Watch this. In the past, during the part where she's dead, and Sarah's gonna make this big dramatic entrance, and Sin's gonna be like, "Hi, Sarah." And she'll be like, "Aren't you freaked out that I'm here?" And she's like, "No." I thought you died.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. And why are you wearing white? Did you get married? And it's after Labor Day. Faux pas.
There's one more thing here that I wanted to read. It's really funny. Red Leader and Tilly said, this season will end with Diggle's brother sitting down and writing his take on Ollie's backstory in comic book form and publish it as Green Arrow year one.
In universe, that would be fantastic.
Be
And
so
then
meta.
it'll make more sense in that comic because it'll be like, I was going to go with Oracle, but I'd say, no, it wouldn't unless you do the future because Oracle wouldn't have been Oracle yet. That still doesn't work.
Yeah.
Even in comic book form. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on. It's time for, what, Legends of Tomorrow. I keep wanting to call it Heroes of Tomorrow. Why is that? Legends of Tomorrow. And Legends of Tomorrow has a very easy episode title to remember this week because it's Pilot Part 2. Because once again, for some reason, we didn't air these together, even though we made it look like it was 2 episodes, or it was the same episode, put together. Let's Manos, did you watch this, or have you already said no? I'm done.
I'm already done.
Manos is like, I don't know, I sort of enjoyed it. I might give it another episode, and then he waited a few days, and he was like, you know what?
Couldn't compel himself.
I just can't take it anymore. He's like, Rory or no Rory, I'm done.
I had other shows. I had dishes to watch.
I had dishes to watch.
I had to do other things. So.
Manos, that was my favorite 40 and slip of the season, sir. I don't want to. I couldn't deal with Legends of Tomorrow. I had other dishes to wash. Wash.
The dishes were fascinating, by the way.
Comparatively, I'm sure they were far more fascinating.
Well, I was excited to hear what.
More Yeah.
I was excited to hear what you were going to say about this, but then I don't want you to hurt yourself if you're not liking the show. And I think it's absolutely hilarious, though, Manos, that you subjected yourself to only half this pilot because they didn't air them together. Let's hear.
To be honest, I might look at another one.
No, you won't.
I won't, but hey, just
No, stick to your guns. Don't do it. Don't watch anymore.
I don't want to be a total jerk face. I know people are enjoying the show, and I'm enjoying it. It's stupid fun. It's fun. It's stupid fun. It's Arrow if Arrow knew it was not good, in a lot of ways, and that's commendable in a way, I suppose. Boy, just time travel I'm done thinking about. And I know I said that last week, but really now I'm just like the whole like cement time thing. It's like, well, we can do anything in any order we want to now. Like we can do the Marty McFly thing and be like, okay, you're part of something is disappearing, and then like for this kind of cheap drama thing, it's like it hasn't happened. Yeah, we haven't ruined the future yet, but your wedding ring's gone. Okay, well why that? But then whatever. I'm not gonna think about it. Let's start with TheCuriousLo again. TheCuriousLo. Now that we have 2 episodes or 1 long episode, are you liking this any better or worse, or how do you feel about it?
I feel kind of the same way that I did last week, in that, much like Flash, I don't feel like it's terrible and the worst thing I've ever seen, but I'm not really enjoying it. I don't know. I just right off the bat, when they were at the auction sequence, that I know a lot of people, I've already seen people in the chat talking about how funny they thought that was. I was just like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Like, They're like firing their guns in the air. Like, it just makes... And, like, if they were going a little bit more, like, old-school Batman with the show, if they were going more to that side of the spectrum, I'd get it. I'd be on board for it. I'd be like, yes, this is, like, silly and fun, and I'd be all for it. But Legends of Tomorrow is not really going that route. It keeps trying to, and then, like, pulling it back and, like, killing off Carter and, like, just things that don't mesh well together to make that sort of show. So it's not like I necessarily hate that they were shooting their guns in the air. It just feels like it didn't fit with where the show's trying to go. I don't know.
They're inside a building! They're in a building! I don't understand. Apparently that does nothing to the structural integrity of that building.
And I care nothing about the fact that Carter died. Like, I'm like, okay, whatever. I guess I'm supposed to be saddened by this, but, like, I don't care. I don't know. I really like the 70s, though, so that was fun.
Not only does no one die in this continuity, but we know that he gets reincarnated every time. Yeah. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. That's my 2 cents on the matter.
Steve! Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait, Steve. Go ahead, buddy.
I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't even say it's stupid fun. I think it's just stupid. Part of the problem I'm having with this show is it doesn't know how to edit. Like, it just feels like a whole bunch of random snappy dialogue and snappy action scenes pasted together, but there's like no transition or no flow scene to scene. Things are just constantly happening. Episode plots kind of start and stop in random places. Character arcs start and stop in random places. Carter died, and I don't care whatsoever, and I'm kind of glad he's gone, because he was awful acting-wise. His whole acting range is batting his eyes a lot and moving his head up and down like this a lot. That's all he does. That's his whole range. It's really irritating. He gets annoying. He's just like, so, about that thing. It's really irritating. It's really obnoxious. And if he wants to be a cartoon, but then I'm not going to care if you stab him in the chest multiple times. In fact, I'm rooting for you to stab him in the chest multiple times. I don't understand why Rip Hunter's even putting up with these people. Like, sure, they don't matter in the grand scheme of things, but it seems like they're doing more damage than anything else. All they keep doing is screwing things up. And that's not fun. That's not endearing. They just keep acting like morons, and I'm not enjoying it.
Yeah, they're supposed to be a bunch of losers in the not the Guardian sense. They're supposed to be a bunch of losers in the sense that they never mattered in the grand scheme, but the idea is supposed to be that they will now, right? Like it isn't that we picked them. The distinction is Rip Hunter didn't pick them because since we know that in the future nothing bad is supposed to happen because of them, that they can do anything and we'll be fine. Like it's not that. It's that you can change time in this. So he trusted that somehow or rather these 8 people were the people to be pulled together that can help him out. He should have at multiple times said, you know what, I'm done. I'm going to put you guys back where I found you, and I'm going to go get some different people. There's nothing stopping him from doing that, I don't think. Yeah, Steve, I completely agree with you. They're just a bunch of screw-ups, and they're way too flippant about messing with the timeline. Like, it's like because we, and I've seen this in other things too, it's like because we didn't think time travel was possible, we can't get it through our head. It's like we've never seen a time travel anything in fiction, right? We can't get it through our heads that if we go back in time and we start monkeying with things, we might ruin the future. And even if you're somebody like Heatwave and you don't care about what you do to anyone, aren't you at least maybe concerned that you might not exist? Sarah Lance, I get that she doesn't care anymore. I get that her whole that she has this kind of new attitude and she's just having fun and she's she's on like her third life. She's like whatever. But the thing with Sarah is she's so irresponsible about the time travel stuff. She thinks it's funny to keep hitting on on younger Stein, even after she finds out that she might end up being the cause of his not meeting his future wife. That's irresponsible. It's unfair. She's being mean to that guy, and the problem is that I don't care because Stein's not Stein anymore.
No,
so I mean, like, do whatever you want to that guy.
Just roofie somebody last episode.
Yeah,
exactly. And we're not going to go over that. As much as they try to play that off as a joke, what he literally did is drug someone so he could steal their body and do what he thinks is fun with it. That's literally what he did.
I know. And we talked about that last week. But what's worse is they haven't. Of course, they wrote this as one episode, so it's not like they had any chance to go back and be like, you know what, I think we took it too far. Let's reel that back a little bit. Because this episode, he's still not anything like he was before. I just feel like Stein used to be a really thoughtful person. He used to be really introspective, and of course, he was very book smart. He would think about the metaphysical as well as the just straight up obvious science and physical, and he doesn't, and he's an idiot, and I don't know why we had to turn him into that, because I used to really like that guy. And of course Sarah's my favorite character in this continuity, and I'm not liking her right now, and that's not, just take the harpoon out of my chest. I hate that.
I think she's the best character in the show.
She has fun scenes. I like her Elektra bandana look. That's fun. But all of my pluses are very superficial right now.
Yeah, like I liked individual scenes. I liked her flirting with the professor until you think about how detrimental that is to the future. Like, it's not terrible from scene to scene. It's when you look at it as a whole that.
Exactly. I mean, the whole thing is just like editing-wise. Like, individual moments work. It's just they don't work in any sort of context. They don't prepare you for any context either. Like, it's just poorly structured.
Like, that auction scene could have been really funny if this was a different type of show.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And everybody's just so overly simplified, where it's like, yeah, there's a character arc for people, but again, it's really superficial, right? We're like, Stein does kind of learn a lesson, but we had to regress him really hard for him to have to learn that lesson. He's not the guy that would need to learn that lesson. I don't understand. And then you have this whole thing with Carter trying to kiss Kendra, and then she's like, no, I've told you I'm not into you, even though I have been 100 million times. And he's like, don't worry, you will be. And then she is like minutes later, just so that she'll feel worse about his dying. And if they were going to do that, we needed that to happen earlier, or we needed to kill him off much later. I also wasn't surprised by him being killed off, because I was a little surprised he was there from the beginning, because all the initial promo material didn't have him there. So I'm not surprised that they got killed off.
He'll be back.
That's the thing, yeah, and then he'll probably be back, and it won't take a Lazarus bit, because that's his whole mythology. Well, they at least make sense to be in this universe. You have a mythology that's all about not being able to die. Sure. Rasco, how about some questions? Let's go ahead and go there.
Okay. This is from Dimitri J. So did Kendra just completely forget about Cisco? What was the point of their romance if they weren't going to do anything with it anyway?
It's a good question.
I think it did a little something for Cisco's character arc. But yeah, it seems like they just sort of dropped it on her end, that it just really didn't mean anything or do anything.
It doesn't seem like Cisco cares afterwards either. Like, they break up and he's just back to being Cisco.
True.
And I don't know, I feel like there should be some continuity to that kind of stuff. And I mean, also just with the Destiny things, like, shouldn't she be dealing more with the fact that she's sad that Carter died in principle, not because she is actually in love with him, and they haven't even broached that yet.
Then they kind of played it like she sort of was, and I don't know.
I don't know. It could be interesting to, once Carter, they find him again and he's reincarnated, to kind of see the opposite be true now that she is starting to get to the point where she is remembering their past together and seeing him be maybe a little bit more standoffish and not really getting it. That could be kind of cool, just to throw a positive out there.
Yeah.
Where I can.
Well, if you're gonna do that kind of thing, you just gotta be careful that you're not making everything about the twists and just the stuff in the moment. You know what I mean? Like, writing for moments, like Joss Whedon always says, isn't about like twists and gimmicks. It's about real human moments that build people and make them who they are and help us grow. And that's not what we've had lately with these shows on the whole. It's much more kind of plotting and characterizing, moment to moment, scene to scene. And so, we don't care about Kendra and Cisco anymore because that's in the past. We did that already. You know, we're not worried about a continuity. And that's the distinction.
I think almost every time any of the CW shows want to bring in a new character, it's almost always a romance. Like, you have like Huntress in Arrow season 1, it was a romance. Diggle's wife was a romance. Pretty much everything is a romance every time they want to bring in a character.
They also have to announce, I think, new characters, that this character will be in this season as this character's love interest. That's even how they did with Supergirl's new cast.
That's a really good point, Rasco. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it doesn't have to always be like that, right? Like, they can come in for other reasons. It's either that or it's a villain.
Yeah.
How about some more questions, Rasco?
Okay, this is from William Parcell. Did you hear about the Dark Knight Returns Arrow showing up on Legends of Tomorrow?
The Dark Knight Returns? Like the actual Arrow from Dark Knight Returns, or just an Arrow that looks like Dark Knight Returns Batman?
With a goatee and a missing arm and everything.
Oh, wow, cool. That'll be fun. It'll be fun to look at. I don't know if it'll be good, but it'll be fun.
It'll be a cool visual.
Guys, I know we're gonna get some flack for this. I hate being down on this show. Like I said, it's kind of fun to watch as a goofy cartoon, but that's kind of all it is. And again, and I don't want to be a hypocrite. Steve and I keep saying that if some of these shows would just allow themselves to be the big fun, dumb things that they could be if they don't want to actually be smart television, that'd be fine. But they need to stop pretending like they're smarter than they are. And I feel insulted a lot.
Yep, that's exactly it.
That's it. And they ruined Stein. I love that guy. They haven't ruined Sarah yet, but she's not my favorite character anymore, and that's unfortunate. I don't know. And that'd be okay if it was like she's a different person because she came back from the dead, but it doesn't really feel like that. How about one more question? Here I am apologizing for not liking the show as much as I was hoping I would. Go ahead, Rasco.
Dvid22 asks, how is it that Ray Palmer matters even less now that he is a main cast character?
Oh, I feel so bad for Brandon Routh. He's a good actor, and he always gets bad roles. Just progressively worse roles, too.
One thing I can say for him, or not for Brandon Routh, but for that character, is that, yeah, he's way too in the background so far. We'll see what they do with him after this, but at least he's a lot less irritating than he used to be. I mean, like, being so far in the backgroround and losing that arrogance he used to have, worried that he's not significant at all. He's one of the least irritating characters on this show, and that's amazing. But I never thought I'd see the day where I would say Stein was the most irritating character on a show. Anyway, all right, well, wow. And we end off this segment with wow. All right, well, let's move away from the CW triad and go on now 2. Let's go ahead and talk about Star Wars Rebels if Dan's with us. Dan, are you there?
Hey.
Hi, Dan. I feel like Dan's like a caller on a call-in show. It's like, Dan, are you there? Are you with us? Yeah, I'm here. How you doing? Dan, we're going to talk about Rebels, and the episode in question is Protector of Concord. Don finally did some things with the Mandalorians, and I want to start with Dan. I'm going to throw this out there. This is the first thing I'm going to say, and then I want to see if Dan agrees with me. Dan, actually kind of did some stuff this episode, and I think it might be one of, if not my favorite episodes this season.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I liked seeing the Mandalorians and at least somewhat examining what their culture is like, which is largely consistent with the things I liked about them in the EU before. I guess the character that Sabine says she's connected to is from Clone Wars. I'm not privy to that, but I suppose that was a big reveal for people that like that show. I sort of liked that we started with one of the Ghost crew in like peril and almost die, because in a lot of these episodes you never feel worried for them because the stormtroopers are so incompetent, but now they're facing like the Mandalorians, which are the most competent warriors in the galaxy. So it was cool to have the stakes be that high. They immediately established at the beginning of the episode like these are people that they're not going to be able to deal with as easily, and I don't know. I thought that it was cool to, have Sabine have a little bit of darkness in her, and some of the Mandalorian ideology still exists in her. And I wish we had examined that a little bit more before, so the change that she has at the end of the episode is a little bit more pertinent. But I don't know. I enjoyed it for what it was. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, the thing at the end, I think, was supposed to be the Ghost crew has changed her already, so it's not like a thing that happens in the episode, but like that's what she would have done. But we've not seen her enough. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and like we know what Zeb's motivation is for being like the character that he is in the show, and I know what Kanan's is based on EU things I've read. I know what Hera's could be based on EU things I've read, but Sabine is kind of the big question mark. She's cool and she's Mandalorian. I like that about her, but I hope that we delve more into her backstory specifically, because that'd be interesting. Especially since she's connected to Clone Wars, I'm sure that we'll get more of that stuff in the future, because this is the same people behind that show.
Well, you said that would be like in a Star Trek thing. If you're like, what I like about that guy is that he's a Klingon.
Yeah.
What did you think, Steve?
I liked this one a lot. I thought this was pretty interesting. I'm not a big fan of the Clone Wars TV series. I don't like what they did with the Mandalorians, but every time we went to Pre-Vizsla and the Death Watch stuff and Darth Maul with the Darksaber and all that, I thought that was really cool. And so connecting Sabine to the House of Vizsla, I think, is really interesting. And hopefully that means we get to see, because there's a whole Darth Maul comic that takes place after the end of that series that I never read that people tell me wraps up the stuff with the Death Watch. But now that the Death Watch is mentioned in this series, I hope we get to see some more of that come full circle, especially since Darth Maul was in the trailer for the rest of the season. I would love to see those characters come back, especially after what Sidious did to everything at the end of Clone Wars. I don't know, I thought this was really kind of exciting. Hera almost dying, I knew she wasn't going to die. For her, almost dying felt like a good tonal shift. And then the episode was pretty consistent with it all the way through. I like that there was two things going on with both Kanan and with Sabine, and they didn't feel the need to make everything have like a feel-good ending at the end. Like it felt like an honest, exciting episode with an exciting journey going forward. I'm kind of excited for next week, and I'm never that way with this show.
Yeah, and there was a logical progression of events that didn't feel like it was trying to pad it out. It's like a cartoon show this length, you shouldn't have to pad, but this show does. And this episode felt like it was actually getting a lot done in its 22 minutes, and felt like a story that like a primetime drama you tell in 45 minutes, but they managed to get it in 22. Sort of like an episode of that animated series. It felt like that. That was exciting. I thought that the fight at the end with Kanan on top of the ship, where it's flying away and he grabs onto the back of it, and you're like, holy crap, that's gonna go into space. What are you gonna do? I thought that was like legitimately thrilling. I thought that was fantastic, and like him taking his lightsaber and like putting it into the console and all that. This show seems to have a lot of like kind of just quota for action scenes. Right? It's a Star Wars thing. It needs to be like 15 minutes of action and 7 minutes of talking. And this show, all the fight stuff felt like it was progressing story, needed to be there. But also, I was genuinely thrilled, which I should be in a Star Wars thing. So that was really cool. Yeah, I like this one a lot. I love the weight that like the Empire feels significantly menacing now, and the Mandalorians feel really menacing, and you don't know what they're going to do. And there's talk about like death and things that are worse than death and what they'll do to you if they find you. And I thought that it was actually almost, maybe it's going too far in this show to say chilling, almost in the moment where Hera is really expecting them to stop firing on her right at the beginning when she says that she's with the rebellion, and he's like I fight for the Empire. I actually didn't expect that, and when that happened, I was like, oh crap, they've got a whole different kind of war to fight now, and this is getting complex, and there's actually some discussion of opposing ideologies and philosophies about how to handle a war, and when diplomacy is the right way to go, and not losing your perspective in you're fighting for a world where diplomacy is the answer, but you never actually use it. What does that turn you into, or doesn't that make you turn into your enemies? We're talking about that stuff. Yay! So yeah, that was exciting, and there was a little bit of that at the beginning of the series, and I think that we kind of lost it. Now we're being thoughtful again. We're talking about those ideas. So yeah, this one was good. I
didn't realize that Darth Maul and the Death Watch were connected, so that further, I think, confirms that was indeed him in the trailer, and makes me really excited for what we're going to see.
Yeah, Dan, if you go back to Clone Wars, if nothing else, maybe watch some of the Darth Maul Death Watch stuff, because I'm not a fan of Darth Maul in that series, but everything with the power struggles between him, Sidious, and the Death Watch is really interesting.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I watched a little bit of Maul when he first showed up, because I like the way that character looks, at least. And some of the EU things I've read, like Darth Maul Shadowhunter was a novel I liked a lot when I was a kid. So I went back and watched that, and I wasn't a huge fan, so I never watched past that. But maybe I'll go back and watch them and see what it's like.
I thought I had a note on it, but I can't find it. Is it my imagination? What was the name drop about Ren?
She says she's from House Wren and that she's from the Death Watch. I don't know if that means anything, but
yeah, that's what I wondered. I was just like, is that just a word, or does that have something to do with Knights of Ren later or something? I wondered. You're going to, because that movie just came out.
It's interesting.
Seems like,
especially given that we see a crossguard lightsaber in the trailer for the rest of the season too. So maybe there's going to be something to do with the Knights of Ren coming up, which should be interesting too.
Yeah, so maybe they're setting up some stuff for them.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Let's get a couple questions, Rasco.
Okay, William Parcell asks, do you think we'll see Boba Fett? Maybe he'll try to join the Mandalorians.
Boba Fett is forever Mandalore. So if he shows up, Boba Fett needs to take power and be the best bounty hunter in the galaxy like he is. I don't know how old he is at this point, because how old was he in Clone Wars? Was he a little bit older in that?
He was I think he was like 12, 13 years old in the Clone Wars, but I'm not positive.
So he might be... I don't know. I don't know what the timeline is off the top of my head, so...
This is like 4 years before A New Hope, right? Or is it more than that?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but Boba Fett would be of age to possibly do some stuff. But yeah, I'd like to see him.
I was going to say, there's no way he's younger than like 16 or 18. Like, any way you sliced it, it'd be easier to put him in that suit and just never show his face.
Yeah,
like he might be Kanan's age, if not a little bit younger.
Yeah, that's true.
And they're not gonna, mark my words, guys, they're not gonna miss that opportunity. We've already had Vader and Yoda and Leia and Lando. Like, he'll be in the show.
Okay, so this is 14 years after Revenge of the Sith and 5 years before A New Hope, so he would be old enough. He would be in his 20s or 30s at this point.
Okay, yeah, so that'd be perfect. Please put Boba Fett in the show.
Yeah, well, it'd be a good opportunity to do like a beginning of his career kind of episode, right? Where like he's just making a name for himself as opposed to like people already knowing about him.
Yeah, I mean the only hurdle I see to putting Boba Fett in the show is if they have plans for a prequel movie or television show in the future with him. That's the only hurdle I can see, but we'll see.
Yeah, like you won't see Han Solo in the show probably for that same reason.
Yeah, exactly. I doubt it.
That's a good point, Dan. Rasco, any other questions, Rasco? Let's do one more, and then we can move on.
Senior Nerd asks, rumor, Grand Admiral Thrawn will be the big bad in Season 3. Would you prefer him in Rebels or in the live-action episodes?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up maybe later on when we did the open forum, but yeah, sure, let's talk about it now. Dan and I were talking about this over chat the other day, and I was like, I would love for them to introduce him here, but I hope his big major stuff is done on screen with a live-action actor, because there's no way they'll take him far enough, and also, it'd be weird to have his big heyday be now instead of after things, but that's just because of what we know about him from the old EU. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, Grand Admiral Thrawn, I think, is one of the best Star Wars villains, so I want him to be recanonicized and put in the canon somehow. I think introducing him in Rebels would be interesting. They could make it so that he's not a Grand Admiral yet, and that he still survives and exists in the movies, and we could use him in there once he ascends to that rank. And I'm not sure. I think Chiss live longer than humans do, so like he wouldn't have to look all that much older. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but so yeah, I mean, introducing him here would be cool, and if they like make him properly menacing, then that would be fine. If they do the same thing with him that they did with Vader in the first 2 episodes of this season, give him the same sort of treatment over the whole length of the season, that'd be awesome, because I love that character. He's amazing.
You have anything to add, Steve?
No, I think you and Dan covered that. That'd be exciting if he was there. I remember in the early parts of the book they mentioned that Thrawn had an interesting history becoming a Grand Admiral since he's not humanoid in the least bit. And so there's like a bit of like speciesism in him getting his rank. And I think it'd be interesting to explore the Empire with him trying to get promoted when he's deserving and he doesn't necessarily get recognized.
Yeah, that's what I always loved about Thrawn, is he was the only alien species to ever ascend to any rank in the Empire, let alone the rank of Grand Admiral. Like, he achieved it on... Like, he was that good. He's a very interesting character.
Exactly. Like, I think it'd be fun to get some of that on screen. Even if he doesn't come necessarily in contact with our main Ghost crew, it'd be fun to just have Empire politics on the side of every episode.
Yeah, definitely.
Heck, I feel like, if this is a comic book, that would be the backup feature. That would be one of those backup features that was better than the actual show you're watching, or the actual comic you're reading. I think you could even potentially do some character parallels with him and Maul, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could.
Okay, well, Dan, thanks a bunch for talking about Star Wars. We gotta move on. And we'll talk to Dan again toward the end of the show with some open forum. We've got 3 more shows to cover, and we're gonna do it as quick as we can. We're gonna talk now a little bit about, is Manos back? Yes, Manos is back. So we'll talk about Supergirl now. And the episode in question is Strange Visitor from Another Planet, and oh boy, for a couple episodes here, it just feels like the Martian Manhunter show, and I just it's great. The White Martian stuff was so neat, and just that they even went there and did that stuff. Having John Jones, first of all, this guy is such a good actor. I didn't know that until a couple episodes ago, and he is really tearing it up in the scenes where he wants revenge and he's freaking out and he's losing it. He's got some really neat lines. That he does stuff that feels too good for the show. And that's really kind of upping the quality of everything in this, I think. That actor and that character just increasing my interest in the show tenfold. This was overall really good. I thought that his turn at the end was a little rushed, and also was enjoying the stuff with Cat Grant. Sorry, talking about so many shows. I'm like, okay, I gotta go to my index of characters. Cat Grant with her son. That stuff worked better than I thought it would. I was kind of okay with it. Not in love with it, but it was all right. Let's start with Manos, because Manos hasn't gotten to talk much, a little while. Back to some stuff that he watched. Manos, what do you think of this episode, sir?
I agree. I love this episode. I thought this was, to be honest, like there was not a moment that I felt annoyed by or thought wasn't working as well as some of the other scenes from the episode, which occasionally I've had with the show. Like, some moments won't be as good, but this was strong from credits to credits, I thought. I love the entrance to the White Martian. I love the bigoted, paranoid senator and that turnaround. God, I love the acting in this one. And not just by the actor who plays Martian Manhunter, but everybody was pretty good in this episode. First off, I I didn't think we'd go to White Martians, and now we got a huge, great origin. I could go for a Martian Manhunter series, frankly, spinning off from this. I loved it. One of the things that I've been hearing, Warner Brothers isn't interested in using Martian Manhunter in their films. It's kind of irritating because this is an awesome character, and this actor is kind of killing it with him. I loved how Supergirl was able to be the go-between in the B plot because, she's a hero in all sorts of ways. I like the fact that she, took it upon herself to bridge the gap between Cat Grant and her son. I thought that scene where she finally gets them to talk, I thought was really touching. I thought the acting in that was pretty convincing. And the effects were fantastic. I mean, this was an all-around great episode.
What do you think, Steve?
I thought this was phenomenal. I loved it.
He likes the thing.
I was just sorry. I don't mean to be like that, Steve. But I thought you and Steve would be like, well, Captain Logan, here's why it sucks.
No, I really, really like this one. Everything with John Jones is fantastic. Oh, man. Some of the dialogue he has, that scene where he's talking about seeing his family die, and the way he tears up and cries, it's not over dramatic at all. It's really gut wrenching. It feels so real. I really like that performance. I liked everything with his character, and we got so little of the Martian flashbacks, but you really feel like you saw an epic story in what he went through, and I just want to see more and more. I loved everything with Martian Manhunter. That was fantastic. It's the best Martian Manhunter's been in anything in 6-7 years at least, maybe more. I don't know the last time I read a good Martian Manhunter story.
And he's right off the page. He's genuine Martian Manhunter. If you only ever get Martian Manhunter from this, you know that character.
Yeah, exactly. It's like what Constantine was, where there's a little bit of difference, but it's so good that you can say you're a Martian Manhunter fan watching nothing but this. It's really, really good. I love the stuff with Cat Grant and her son. I love that. Supergirl is trying as hard as she is with patching up that relationship. She has no business doing it, but she wants to save everybody, and I really like that. And I like that there's almost like a sister-daughter quality with the way she treats both of them. And obviously they're going to do a love story with those two characters. But I liked how she played it. I liked that it didn't feel overstated until we got to the end and he asked her out. I don't know. I thought this whole episode was just fantastic. I watched it twice. I thought it was really good.
I like the fact that it didn't feel overwritten this time around, because that's sometimes the problem with some of the scripting on this show, where it's like a character will overstate what their problem is and who they are. This one did not. This read and was acted out very believably, very much on a human level. I was really impressed by this episode.
I said that there's some Martian Manhunter stuff in this that's almost too good for the show. I want to real quick read you an example. This, I think, is the best line of dialogue in this entire show so long. Could not believe that he said this. I am 317 years old. I can wear any face I choose. I can speak languages your mouth can't even form, and you know nothing about me. Oh, good. God, that's good stuff. All right, let's go ahead and go to some comments. Go ahead, Rasco.
I watched this show too.
Did we miss Lo? I'm sorry, Lo.
I don't have much else to say.
I didn't do that on purpose. I apologize.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I really liked it too. I think this is my favorite episode of this show so far. I feel like the show's been getting better and better every episode. It had kind of a shaky start for me personally, but I feel like they've really hit their stride. I really appreciated the stuff. I know this is kind of a small thing, but at the end when the two girls were eating ice cream and they did the whole switch thing, that is something I have done with my friends so many times, and I feel like they're doing a really good job of just showing these girls as actually the way that girls act, at least from my experience. So I really appreciated that, and I like that they still touched on Wynn. Even though he wasn't really important to the episode, they didn't just drop it like Flash has done with characters at points. So it was cool that he was still there, even though he wasn't really part of the episode. Yeah, okay, now we can go to comments.
Well, I'm sorry about that. I actually was sitting there racking my brain going, I don't know if we went to Lo. I'm pretty sure we went to Lo. And then Lo's like, hey, I'm here. Go ahead, Rasco.
Red Leader Antilles asks, did anyone else hate that the evil anti-Superman senator was just plain evil? I get that it was
Yes!
a white Martian, but I wish it was like Man of Steel, where people who dislike Supes are not just pure evil.
No, on that same note, I'm glad you brought it up because I almost forgot about that. I like this so much that I forgot to go to that. But yes, I had that note too where it was like, well, all we know about that person is that she hates aliens. That's it. And then you get to the end, and she's got that Senator Kelly thing from X-Men. I've changed my mind. I don't even know how you arrived at that. Okay. Anybody else? No one else cares. That was the thing about it.
I hate it. I
didn't mind it. In an election where Donald Trump is running, I didn't mind that. It didn't seem unrealistic to me.
Yeah,
but I didn't think we were supposed to hate her either. Is the thing. I think they just didn't have to really develop her.
I think they made her believable, and I like the fact that she wasn't still like, no, aliens are dumb. I hate them. Like, I like that she came around because they totally could have gone that way, and that would have been very, in my opinion, unbelievable and just keeping her evil for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Well, I said it was like Senator Kelly, but like at least she wasn't Mystique at the end.
Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, exactly what Lo was saying. Like, she had this moment where she was actually saved by the kind of person that she didn't like, and it gave her, a second thought. Yeah, I don't know. I thought that turnaround was... And I thought her speech was pretty believable. Yeah, like I said, the writing was really great on this one.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, we all liked the show, and we have nothing to say about it.
We're just so used to explaining why things don't work that when we were like, dang it, it's good.
There was just to point out some writing that I liked because you said a quote a second ago.
Absolutely, go ahead.
When I'm forgetting, is his name Adam, Kat's son? Is that his name?
Sure. Yes.
When he showed up,
sure, we'll call him Adam.
when he showed up and he was asking Kara if it was her that sent the letter, or somebody asked her, she goes, "What? No, that would be illegal, maybe." And I don't know, that just felt so in character for her to kind of be like, "No, that's not allowed. Is it allowed? I don't know." Like, and just keep going with it. I liked it. Maybe chuckle.
I like the fact that it opens with that letter being read over her saving a family in the middle of a forest fire. And frankly, me as a viewer wondering how in context that letter fits. Like, maybe is she reading something from her own mother, or what what have you? And then it comes together when you realize that's the letter she wrote to her cat's son. I also like that twist, like very early on, where she meets him in the coffee shop and she goes, "Oh, Cat Grant, ugh, I hate her," and then it turns out to be her son. I don't know. I didn't expect that one coming. So yeah, there's so much good stuff in this episode.
I like that sort of points to the fact that he probably sought her out. I mean, like, that's a little stalkerish, but the fact that he sort of was like, I'm going to kind of test the waters and see what other people think of my mother before I just go headlong into meeting her. Kind of being like, okay, what is she like? Oh, she's not crazy? Okay, maybe I will. I've flown all the way here, but I wasn't sure about it, but now somebody has said that she's not as bad as I think she might be. That's what I got out of it, at least.
That's a good point.
You guys, you know what else I just thought of? And I don't know if this is on purpose, but it's cool either way. Supergirl opens this episode saving a family from a fire, and that's how Martian Manhunter's family died.
Oh,
that's interesting.
Yeah,
that's good stuff because of course she's trying to save everybody, and she also saves him at the end, especially emotionally. It'll be interesting to see how willing he is to stay around and do things after this, because he was ready to leave. He was ready to leave. He was ready to go.
Oh, and that scene with them like talking him down from killing. I thought that was really well done, and I know that other shows that we watch have done that and then turned around and just kind of thrown that out the window, specifically Arrow. but it was still great, and hopefully Supergirl doesn't do that. But I really liked that scene, and it was believable and kind of poignant, and I believed that they were actually talking him down from that. I believed that he was willing to kill her. Yeah.
And I love the way they argue that, too, because the problem with stuff like Flash and Arrow when they argue about killing, it's always like, if I kill this person, I lose myself. It's always a selfishness thing before it's an inherent life thing. And it's not that way with Supergirl. It's just killing is wrong, doesn't matter who you are. So it's not about Martian Manhunter losing who he is. It's about Martian Manhunter upholding an ideal of any kind.
Exactly.
That's
And
fantastic.
and also, the fact that this speech comes from Supergirl, who actually does value life, instead of Arrow, who killed like 42 people last week. But, hey, you don't kill this guy because of life. I forget last week what I did.
Exactly, yeah.
I just never would have thought to draw so many parallels between Supergirl and Martian Manhunter, and it's perfect. And they should, like, I guarantee you will see a lot more stuff with those two characters together after this in other things, because it just makes too much sense. Like, I never thought about those histories, but there's really inherent interesting similarities. But I also really liked the parallels that were made between John Jones and Allura. And how they both tried to save their worlds and they weren't able to, and like they're being really thoughtful about all that like comic book origin stuff that they just took off the page, but they're finding connections that were never intentionally there in the first place. That's good stuff. How about one more question, Rasco? We need to move on.
William Parcell asks, do you think the series could bring back Martian Manhunter's popularity enough to see him on film?
I guess it's possible. I don't know. There's a part of me that kind of hopes that doesn't happen too early, just because. Well, I was going to say because I'd hate for him to not get to be used in the show, but then I don't know how exactly that works, because you have the Suicide Squad thing where they took them out, but then we could have a Flash TV show in Flash in the movies, and I just don't. I have no idea. So who knows? But yeah.
The secret is getting a Martian Manhunter TV show greenlit and then putting him in the movie, so you can have both.
Oh. I would like to still see a Martian Manhunter in the movies just because I feel weird about a Justice League without him. But if we get to have one in this continuity, as good as it is, especially if they ever cross it over with the multiple 52 Earths with Flash Arrow, then that would give us a Martian Manhunter in that whole multiverse, and that's good, So just as good as he is, I don't think I'm as irritated that we're not going to get him in the movies now if we don't. Anyway, okay. Well, do you guys want to go ahead and move on?
Yes.
Sure thing.
Good.
Okay, Lo, I won't forget you this time. We're moving on now to our second and last show we're going to talk about this week. It's Agent Carter. It's an episode called Better Angels. And let's just open straight up with Manos this time.
Okay, I liked it. I think it's
All
a
right.
good continuation.
So, Steve, what did you think? No, I'm kidding. Go ahead. sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, actually, this is kind of more. This one felt more kind of a continuing chapter of the show.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many real deep things I have to say about this one in particular. The fact that I'm not surprised that Wilkes came back, although I was really surprised about how he came back. I thought that was very. I felt that to be kind of startling, with him kind of being a.
Okay, let's go to
Round.
Steve. Oh.
That's okay. No, that's my last thought on that. That's
Well, we didn't get to hear your last thought because you froze up completely, and we were all wondering if you were still in the call. So.
Oh, okay, all right. Let's see. Yeah, I liked it. It's good.
I love this. So that was the thing you said in the first place. Steve, what do you think?
I just gotta echo Manos. I mean, it's a good episode. It's chapter 3 of 13? 8. I'm not sure how many episodes these seasons are. But it's good, and there's lots of things in the air, and I love having Howard Stark back because he's awesome. But I just gotta see where the rest of this goes. I really like what we're doing with Madame Mask with Whitney Frost in this. Because my big worry when they cast her is you're using a really interesting and dense Iron Man villain in Agent Carter. And Iron Man is already not Iron Man in the movie, so why are you doing this to me? I like that character. But making her an actress, the whole thing with the cut on her face, the thing with the politician she's dating, I think all that's really interesting. I think it's all really working. And if we're kind of building some parallels between her need to present herself and not being able to versus Stark's uncontrollable desire and inevitable way of presenting himself, and I think that's interesting. So we'll see how that goes going forward. But I don't know. It's a good episode. I just got to see where the rest of it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel the same way you guys do. It's more of the same, but not in a bad way. I just don't have a lot to say yet. What I liked about the show last year is what I like about it now, which is the whole thing is one big a story that's going to be, it's going to have a beginning, a middle, and an ending. What do you think, Lo?
I liked it. I thought it was very funny, probably mostly in thanks to Mr. Stark. But it was. I still stand by what I said last week, that it seems like this season is going just a little bit more kind of fantasy than last season did. Even though we had some stuff last week with like the exploding vest and things like that, but like we had glowing and freezing people, and now we have invisible people. It's cool. I'm all for it. But yeah, it is interesting to see that they're going that route, and I'm interested to see where they'll go by the end of the season. Yeah, I like the episode too. Thought it was a great episode, but we'll see where the rest of the season goes.
I agree. I like seeing Peggy involved with more and more fantastic scenarios and storylines and characters. And I don't know how much longer they're going to keep doing Peggy Carter stuff, but the more I see, the more I like it, especially how grounded she is. So you can I have the feeling you could go into completely Looney Tunes, bizarro, Grant Morrison-ish storylines as long as we're following her. I feel like Haley Atwell has that ability to just make it cool. Like, oh, okay, this is weird, but I have my own atmosphere now. But
yeah, she'll
okay.
accept anything. Nothing bothers her. It's fantastic. And then what's hilarious is if you were to watch all this stuff in chronological sequence of when it actually happens in the continuity Manos, because then you get to stuff in the movies where people just can't even accept like the slightest like super science or supernatural thing, and then you hear Agent Carter in the background going, you guys can't handle anything. Like, you have no idea. You have no idea what's out there. I dealt with a zero matter thing. You just don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and get some questions and comments. We'll talk a little bit more about this. Go ahead, Rasco.
Okay, so Omari Daniels asks, did anyone find Thompson's behavior towards Peggy a step backwards? After Russia, he saw her as an equal, so for him to not trust her instincts and call her emotional goes against his Season 1 growth.
Boy, I wondered about that, but I haven't watched that in almost a year, and that's the problem with having a show like this. That it finishes in March, and then you don't get it again until January. I was like withholding judgment without a second watch, but I wondered about it.
I considered his growth to not be that much. I don't know. I don't think someone who is from that era and from that kind of like kind of an atmosphere, I don't think that guy like became like a feminist like overnight or something like that because Peggy proved herself. I think he is completely able to go back into those same beliefs and thoughts, and he's just always going to be a jerk. That's just kind of how he is. I mean, he will work with her, he will accept her, but I don't see him becoming her best buddy ever.
I was looking at some notes here. This is unrelated, but something I didn't think about until just now. Jarvis's voice on the security system is funny, but it got me thinking, oh, that's a connection thing, isn't it? Because you've got the AI Jarvis later, and like they're still planting things like that, in not too cutesy of a way, like that's a little subtle. I didn't think about it until just now. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. One of the little things that Peggy Carter does, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. does it okay, but I think Agent Carter does it better, where it does have these kind of like ways of connecting, these sort of like, little hints and Easter eggs with the rest of the Marvel Universe, but it doesn't go out of its way to go, hey, nudge, nudge, you've heard of Oracle? Nothing that.
Yeah, or make it too convoluted by the fact that it's there.
Yeah. I mean, you had to mention that to me for me to even think, oh, yeah, that's kind of neat.
And like I said, I just now thought of that. I mean, like I noticed a note that just said Jarvis's voice is funny. I thought, wait a minute.
I see what you did there.
Also, just funny little throwaway gags. Stark likes Velveeta. I don't know, I thought that was really funny. And just Stark directing movies is pretty funny. Like, Stark, why are you directing your own movies? Oh, because you can. Okay. Yeah. That was pretty great. When he came down, I was like, is that Stark? Surely Howard Stark isn't directing movies. And then it's funny because like he has directing experience for a big budget movie, and then he's making that, and then he's making that video that Tony Stark watches in Iron Man 2, and like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. How about another question, Mr. Rasco?
William Parcell asks, what Marvel heroes known for this time period would you like to be brought in?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't given that a great deal of thought, really.
I would like to see Dominic Fortune. He was supposedly like a Golden Age Marvel hero. Yeah, I think he would be probably my choice. I'd love to see that character. He was kind of like a Hulk kind of slam-bam action fist guy.
If they never use, and I don't know if he's wrapped up with Fantastic Four, he probably is, but if they never use Submariner in current, he ought to be in the past somewhere. And original Human Torch.
Yeah. We saw his android body in the first Captain America.
It would also be fun to get.
I forgot.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're fine.
I was saying it'd be fun to get William Burnside in the 50s Captain America, the guy that recreated himself to be just like Steve Rogers, and then went crazy over it from the Steve Englehart one. It'd be fun to get those characters in, especially since Peggy's all about protecting Steve's legacy now.
That would be a cool third season or fourth season.
Good point. And now that you say that, I guess I'll bring this up. I don't think we'll get any more of the show.
You think we're two and done?
Yeah, definitely. The ratings have been bad. It's dropped off significantly. Bad comparatively. It had what I read was that it had a 50% drop from the pilot first episode of the season, and that was another like 25% drop from the season finale last year, and it had another significant drop between first and second episode, or like the first two episodes of this one. I think it's done, Manos. I don't see them renewing it unless they'll renew anything that's Marvel just because it's Marvel. Because I don't know how Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s numbers have stacked up. I haven't really looked into that, but I've been a little bit surprised that there's never been any talk about cancellation, even though I know hardly anyone watching that show. So anyway, I mean, I know some people that watch Carter, but yeah, their numbers have fallen off dramatically. Having said that, I'm not going to be too worked up about it because I was a little surprised when they got a second season. I wasn't even sure if this was like a renewable, let's make one every season kind of show. I wondered if it was a miniseries all along. So I don't know. For me, it's a treat that we got to. And if it gets canceled, I'm not going to cry about it. But I just wanted to say that, Manos. I don't know that you'll see a third season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like thinking of these like, almost like the Japanese do shows. They do one, string of episodes, and if it's popular, they'll do a second one, so on and so forth. So that's kind of the way ABC and a few other networks have been doing some shows lately. So I'm happy. If we just get two, I'm happy. I would love 3 and 4 because this is really good. And this is, one of the better superhero shows out there. But oh well.
Yeah, it's almost that midpoint between how broadcast television is usually done and the Netflix model, right? Like it's almost this weird like hybrid thing.
Yeah, Netflix definitely has been influencing a lot of the way programming works.
It's fascinating. Okay, well, if is everybody okay with moving on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we're moving on without Steve, unfortunately. Hopefully he's able to jump back in because our final show, I'm just looking over the list and making sure that there's nothing we missed. Our final show is Lucifer. Brandon, you want to come talk about Lucifer?
I'm back, yes.
Okay, cool. And we will try not to cause a lot of echoing, bring Brandon back, but like I said, I just don't have it set up right now to easily hook up another pair of headphones. I have a splitter, I just don't have a long cord.
It's been kind of weird hearing just one part of the entire conversation with you and your headphones on.
Yeah, it's hard for me not to occasionally like do that thing that a lot of these TV shows do, where I tell you things that everyone else already knows just for your benefit. But anyway, well, I'm gonna contact Steve on Facebook and see what's going on and if he's able to get back in here. But we'll go ahead and start talking about Lucifer. And this just aired on Fox. It was a thing I was surprised was adapted from comics and came in, and something that I have not read this character in anything, and Steve has, so I'm relying on him really hard, and hopefully he gets back in here pretty soon. But was kind of surprised by how much I enjoyed this. And my big thing on this show is that it feels like, and again, I need Steven here to talk about this, but it feels like a good stand-in for Constantine. Like, if I can't have Constantine, got the show.
I thought the same thing while I was watching it.
You haven't even seen Constantine.
I know, but that's what I felt like watching it. So
I was talking.
I pick up on that.
I was talking to a friend earlier today about how much I liked Lucifer and what it was about. And he goes, "It sounds like Constantine." Yeah, pretty much.
Well, and I mean, like, you know, it's another Vertigo thing. It's very similar in just as far as the continuities are concerned. And there's no reason those characters couldn't be together. But sorry, I'm messaging Steve real quick. Let's start with Lo and just get your basic thoughts, Lo, about the pilot, and if this is a show that you would want to keep watching, and what you thought of the style and the atmosphere and the acting, and go ahead.
I loved it. I really, really liked this show. I thought it was super fun, and even though I feel like it's doing what I want Legends to do, in that it's like being kind of ridiculous and out there while still having a good balance of sort of the serious moments, and I think a lot of that just has to do with how strong, and I don't know his name, the guy who's portraying Lucifer is as an actor. I really enjoyed everything that he was doing. I bought all of his lines and his sassiness and just all of his one-liners. I thought they were really great. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I'm interested to see where it'll go. I don't really know anything about the character, so I don't know where it's going to go. I have no idea what sort of show we're looking at. It kind of looks like it's going to be like a procedural cop drama, maybe, where they're solving things. I don't know, though. But yeah, I mean, they started off with a Cage the Elephant song, and I like them, so that made me happy. And Rachel Harris is just a treasure as, what was her name, Linda, the therapist. I thought she was great in her scene. Yeah. And I just like when the cop, whose name I forget, when she wakes up and goes, "How long have I been out?" and he goes, 3 years. I just thought that was perfect. I don't know. I really like the show. I'm excited.
That line. It's hilarious.
Oh, it's so funny. She goes, "How long have I been out?" and he just deadpans 3 years, and she's like, "What?"
But this is one of those shows that I feel like I'll rewatch and have a totally different experience because I mean, like, it's kind of like a snappy or witty line or a joke every couple of seconds, right?
And it'll be interesting to see where it goes. Obviously, strong pilot doesn't necessarily mean anything, and weak pilots don't mean that the show's going to be bad. But as for just this one episode, I really enjoyed it.
Okay, Steve's back finally. I'm glad that we've got you, Steve, because you're the only person that knows anything about this character, comic book wise. So we're talking about Lucifer. Are you there, Steve?
Yeah, I'm here. Cool.
Okay, cool. Let's hear from Brandon because Brandon, like Lo, and I mean, I don't know anything about this character either, but I at least have read a little bit of Vertigo stuff here and there, and have sense of, I had a sense of what the flavor of this would likely be, and I at least have more background with things that are sort of like this with Constantine things. Not that this is a Constantine character, although Steve, I'm telling you, dude, just bring Matt Ryan to the show, right? Like, just freaking put him in there. Brandon, you watched this with me solely so that you would just have something else that you could talk about this week.
Well, and it seemed mildly interesting.
Yeah, what did you think of this?
Well, I was pleasantly surprised, actually.
Yeah.
I felt that they packed a lot into this first episode, and it was kind of fast-paced. But that was okay for the first episode. I'm interested, like Lo, to see kind of where it goes, what they want to do with it, and I thought the same thing, like maybe procedural cop drama. But I'm like, how do you do that with Lucifer? Does he just become the partner in solving things? I'm not sure. The one thing that I did not care for was just how many times he pressed the whole immortality thing. I thought like he just said it way too many times.
Why? What's that a problem?
I don't know that it's a problem. It just seemed to come up way more than I was expecting. Of course, he was talking to a lot of different people. It seemed like he was telling people too early, that he really is Lucifer. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
That was one of my favorite things about it.
Oh, okay, all right.
He's got no reason not to.
No, but like who? And
the rules don't apply to me.
Right.
But how would it affect him anyway? In any way? Look, if it gets to the point where he just can't operate at all on Earth, he just goes back to hell. Who cares?
Well, that's true. Now, the one thing
what's so much fun about it?
The big thing that drew me to this initially is, as someone who grew up Catholic, I'm a non-practicing Catholic these days, but church dogma has always fascinated me. The history of the church, the players in hell and heaven, you know. So that's what drew me to this initially, or I probably would not have ended up watching it with you. But overall, I liked it, and I like to see where they go with it.
If this was the devil in Spawn, Spawn would be good. What did you think of this, Steven? Give us a little bit of background on this character and where he comes from.
Okay, yeah, I was going to mention some of that. So back when Neil Gaiman was doing Sandman, he had this story arc. I think it was Seasons of the Mist when this happened. It's like volume 3 or 4 of Sandman, where Lucifer in hell, he's been there for I think 10 billion years is what he quotes, something like that. And he rebelled against God 3 seconds after creation. Which is hilarious in context. And he says that he's been doing this whole thing for way too long, and he's just bored. So he throws every demon out of hell, locks it up, and gives Dream the key. And Dream just has to deal with it while Lucifer goes and starts his own series with Mike Carey. And when he does, he travels a lot in the series, but at a point it just like sticks to Los Angeles because that's where these characters go, is Los Angeles. And it's a really interesting series. Basically, what it follows is just Lucifer owns a piano bar, and it's the same thing in the show. It's called Lux. He's got a couple of assistants that are ex-demons, and one of them is a descendant of Lilith, which is the mother of all demons. And it's the exact same kind of gentleman devil kind of thing. And the whole series just focuses on what is the point of Lucifer? What is the point of good and evil? Can you have good and evil without free will? How can God know everything? And at the same time, Lucifer be to blame for bad things. The idea of the devil made me do it. What does that mean? Stuff like that. And it's a really, really great series. It ran for like 75 issues. It's one of my favorite comics of all time. I love it. It's really, really good. And the TV show is almost nothing like it, which is completely fine because I thought this was fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm always a sucker for this kind of portrayal of the devil where he's in a fancy suit, he's got the slicked back hair, he's always kind of witty and charming. He's basically Robert Downey Jr. kind of before Robert Downey Jr. I like that idea a lot, and there's always two ways to play it. You can do it as kind of the arrogant way, or you can do it as kind of the Roger Moore gentleman way. And I prefer this one a lot. I like that he's just so upfront about everything. One thing in the comic is that he doesn't like to lie. He doesn't lie about anything. So if someone asks him, "Who are you?" he says, "I'm Lucifer Morningstar. I'm the devil." And he does that in the show, and it's hilarious. And the actress, he's got so much charm. He's a lot of fun, and he's so direct about things, and he's really witty. It's a generic show. It's really predictable, but I think the difference between this kind of generic and predictable when it comes to this, as opposed to Legends of Tomorrow, is that this show actually has the ability to pause and breathe, and it's got a structure and it's got a flow. It's at least a story built on generic fun and a unique atmosphere, as opposed to being just hobbled together scenes of immoral characters. This show knows exactly what it is in a way Legends doesn't. And it's a lot of fun. I miss this kind of flavor, especially now that Constantine's on air.
See, I wouldn't have thought to call it generic, but then maybe my mind has been numbed by a lot of the kinds of shows that I've been watching lately. Because when you compare to those things, this feels very unpredictable. I will say that this is weird, but Constantine made this more unpredictable for me, Steve. And the reason I'm saying that is because, impossible not to compare them, especially because they both come from, again, DC Vertigo things, and they both are these occult things that are dealing with, Bible-derived mythology, and the way heaven and hell and good and evil work is similar. When she gets shot and goes to the hospital, because Constantine didn't use the obvious woman that was supposed to be the sidekick in the first episode, I wondered if this wouldn't do the same thing. And there's no reason that it should. It's not even on the same network, but that just had me going, well, no, there's precedent for this now. It could happen. And then, of course, she's okay at the end, and I went, oh, so this is a normal show. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very normal procedural cop thing with just a biblical spin. And I think that's why a lot of people hate it, but I don't know. I think it's a lot of fun. I thought the dialogue was so good.
It doesn't have to be a procedural. I'm a little bit afraid that it's gonna feel too much like iZombie in that way. Just that I've already got the supernatural, occult, procedural mystery thing, and I gotta keep up with another mystery thing every week and hope that these murder mysteries are good every time. But having said that, the mystery in this one was kind of up to spec with the ones that have been working really well in iZombie, and I think the ones that were in Constantine. And I liked that was an idea that I never really entertained before. The notion of what if you had a murder mystery where the person that did it was was somebody that ran a music studio and was a record producer and knew that if somebody died, then their record would go off the charts. I was like, that's a cool idea. I never thought of that before. So like, it's thinking. It's it's got the murder mystery part of the procedural thing kind of down, and just it's such an absurd idea that the devil would just be going around helping this girl because he likes her and because he's curious about her. And he's got that. I mean, he basically comes right out and says it, which is hilarious. But he's basically got that Lex Luthor thing where he's mostly just friends with. I mean, he finds her intriguing, but he's mostly just friends with this person because she's got this giant secret he's got to know. And of course, in this case, it's very related to him, so he's really got to know. And it makes you immediately wonder if she's somehow tied to that mythology, if she's not some kind of a half-breed or something, that sort of thing, because she has this ability to not be affected by his charm, and that shouldn't be possible if she's a normal human being. So I don't know. All that's kind of interesting and very, very, very comic book. Steve, I thought this was absolutely as good as Constantine, and if we can't have Constantine, I'm glad we got this. It's a really good stand-in for it, if nothing else. I still say just bring him in. But I also think that it's neat that he, just like Constantine had, has his very own unique way of speaking, and he's got a vernacular and a vocabulary that's all his own. And you're going to get to a point where someone will say something that reminds you of him, and you'll say, this show's Lucifer, and that's really cool. I liked this a lot. It's not exactly my kind of thing. The vulgarity of it when it goes there, and the overt sexual stuff is working because of what it is, and it's about the devil, and sure. But it's not my cup of tea. But
you were laughing through the whole thing.
But I was laughing through all of it. Yeah, I mean,
I can vouch for that.
It totally works. Yeah. So anyway, no, I thought it was really good, and I'm excited to watch more of it. I was kind of hoping I would hate it, so I wouldn't have another show to do on the show. But I'm just kidding. It's really good. The ratings were pretty good. I think it will get a full order if it hasn't already. And although being at mid-season replacement time, who knows? But I think it's likely to get renewed. So anyway, let's go to questions. Rasco.
Okay, Rin Davis. Rin Davis asks, "Hey, did they explain why his inner desire thing didn't work on the guy who ended up being the culprit?"
Oh, it didn't work on that guy? I thought it did.
It did, but I think he asked him a different question. Like, he asked him about the death and not whether or not he's the one who did it, so I guess that's probably why.
Yeah, I think, I think that's exactly right. That's exactly what happened.
Hey, Steve, D.B. Woodside, dude.
Oh, yeah, he's fantastic in this. I haven't seen him in a while. He was in 24, though, right?
Yeah, he was, but that was quite a while back. No, he got ripped, right?
Yeah, he did. No, he's a lot bigger than him.
What happened to that guy? He's like, I'm going to be an angel. I better be able to bench press a tractor. Like, wow.
I mean, just comparing him in my head to Season 7 Buffy when he's Robin Wood, and he's trying to beat up Spike, but he's just so tiny in comparison to what he looks like now. It's cool. And I also really like that exchange at the end when he's talking to Lucifer and he's like, I've been watching you, and Lucifer just says, you perv.
Yeah, that was funny. Rasco, more questions, sir.
Keith Hastings asks, will any of the characters from Sandman show up in this show?
I really doubt it. Because so many of Sandman's characters are wrapped up in that own mythology, and they're making a movie, so I really doubt that they'll want to mix too much of that.
One more, Rasco.
Ian McKee says, much like Constantine, I like Lucifer mostly due to the sheer amount of fun the lead seems to be having.
Yeah, he's great. He was one of my favorite things about the show, is just how snarky he is. I enjoyed it.
He is great.
That that is one of those roles that if you really eat it up, that's like one of those roles that'll make a career and might be the role of your lifetime. So much fun to just get to be the devil and to not like take his teeth away too much. Where he's just straight up. There were a lot of things that I was mythology-wise I was really curious about, like this idea that if he's not in hell, souls just don't suffer. That's so interesting, and that he's got this really fascinating contradiction where he hates God for making him be in this role when he doesn't think he's just straight up evil, and he is in this role and he has to be there. And for some reason, God needs to have Satan there to do this to people. But then at the same time, like I said, this contradiction where he's also angry that someone might die who deserves to be suffered or deserves to be suffering and is not there suffering. So he's still the devil, and that, like all of that is like really intriguing to me. And then of course they had to spell out in somewhat of a hand up way at the end the idea that like humanity is just maybe starting to rub off on him and stuff. And I didn't need that. It's obvious, you just do that. But that idea, of course, is interesting, and what do you have to sell the show on? And yet I was sympathetic toward him from the very beginning, and he's the devil.
And I think that's probably what's so fascinating both about the show and the comic is that both things are trying to tell you straight up that all these things you've heard about the devil, that he's the king of lies, that he's a manipulator, that he's the root of all sins, none of that's true. At the same time, he's still the most terrifying person you will ever meet. And there's a really great moment in the comic where someone's trying to explain, well, if Lucifer is not all these things I've heard, how can he be in any way scary? And the quote is something like, it's not because he lies to you. It's because he tells you the truth and lets the truth guide you to hell. Like it's just in the conversation. It's just in the fact that you want anything is in itself not a good thing, and he can just guide you there that way. That he can be your best friend, and being your best friend is what forces you to be a bad person. And that's really interesting. And the book even does a really great thing where they point out at the end that hell wasn't a punishment. It was God's gift to Lucifer as like, look, this is your reward for standing up to me. You get to be as far away from me as you want. And he doesn't take it that way. And just some of those free will questions and the idea of what the devil is meant to be versus what he actually does. I can see the show discussing them, even if it's not the same way the comic dealt with it.
Boy, that's an interesting take. I had not considered.
That's cool, and I was so interested in this idea of God and the angels aren't angry with you for being evil. They're angry with you for not wanting to be, because like you have to have that, like the whole balance thing, and then the question of whether or not you really have to have that, and then all the free will notions and stuff like that. It's a fresh take on that. We get that kind of stuff all the time, but it's a good fresh take on it. And I really need in a cult thing based on biblical stuff that like has mythology that makes an inkling of sense. An inkling would be great.
Not so much that he needs to be evil and he's not being evil, but that he needs to be governing the realm he was given to govern,
right? And
he's not governing that. So that's kind of a whole new bag.
But it's still a problem that he wants to be good, because then he's not there doing that. So they're more angry that he's on Earth doing good things than they are on Earth. So yeah, it is he's not evil. That's still a problem. Okay, anything else anybody wants to say about that show before we go ahead and go on open forum? Long show, I know, as quick as we could make it. Let's go ahead and talk for a few minutes to the audience about anything else you guys want to talk about.
Hello, Dan Torrey. Dan's still there.
Yeah, Dan's there. Hopefully he'll notice that we're about to go to open forum, and if not, I'll send him a message about it. Let's go ahead and find out what people said in the poll, and we'll go round robin as we always do, and talk first to our panelists and see what everybody's favorite episode was. Of course, the things you watch, very few of us watch everything, and trust me, your brains are better for it if you had not done that. And let's go ahead and start. Of course, Dan just watched Star Wars, so Dan's favorite thing was either Star Wars or something we didn't talk about.
Star Wars.
Star Wars, okay. And let's find out what Manos is. No, Manos isn't even there. Oh, wait, there's Manos. Hi, Manos. Apparently, what I thought was emptiness was your shoulder. Manos, what was your favorite show this week, sir?
It was Supergirl. Easy choice this week. It was Supergirl, definitely.
Man, if all I watched this week were the things you watched, that would be my choice too, and that makes it so hard, man. Because I watched a lot of really good stuff, but yeah, Supergirl was so good. Let's find out what Lo's favorite show was.
Oh man, I'm having trouble deciding between Lucifer and Supergirl. I think I'm actually gonna go with Lucifer. I did Supergirl last week, but I really enjoyed the pilot of Lucifer, and I really hope it doesn't lose steam and is a good show going forward. So Lucifer.
Steve?
I think Supergirl is the best show of this week, but I'm gonna agree with Lo and go with Lucifer just because I had so much fun watching it.
Brandon, you only watched 2 things, but between X-Files and Lucifer,
I think
you're going to
we
say
all
X-Files.
know, yeah, it's going to be X-Files, but there was something that I forgot to ask about that earlier. I just want to ask really quick. Am I crazy, everybody else who watched this, the 2 foreign guys, the first guy's name was Sanja, and the second guy's name was Gupta? Like, the neurosurgeon? Is that what was going on there? Like, Sanja Gupta? Seriously? I don't know. Anyway.
I heard that too. I thought that too, actually. It was probably just a reference.
Yeah, it's just
I guess, but like...
literary things sometimes will do references like that.
Yeah, but that just
thing.
seemed really weird to me. The 2 Indian guys, the Indian neurosurgeon, yeah, anyway.
Did you think
X-Files.
it was clever, or were you just freaking out because you recognized it?
No, I thought it was weird.
Oh, okay.
Actually.
Okay. There was something I meant to mention about X-Files also, Brandon, which was, you know how I keep laughing about, and I should figure out this guy's name because I always talk about him, the guy who played Principal Quan in Smallville and how he's in everything, he was in that! And not only was he in that episode, but of course, here's the thing, they shoot that in Vancouver, and they have a lot of Smallville alum in that, and that's one of the reasons I enjoyed it too, was because it was a little nostalgic for that too, because they got the composer back, Mark Snow, and so that show sounds like Smallville, because Smallville sounded like X-Files. And anyway, but so they had that guy, right? And he always gets typecast very specifically as a brilliant scientist who gets no characterization and gets killed in a gruesome way.
And you said that before he
even... And I told you, he's gonna die in an explosion, and he died in an explosion! Anyway.
And they say there's no... And they say there's no good parts for Asians.
No, he's the go-to Asian guy, man. Like, that's who...
All right, do you want to play the martial artist or the scientist with no character who gets killed? It's your choice.
Actually, frankly, Manos, that guy's the reason there are no good parts for Asians, because he gets them all. And then they're not even good parts, because... Well, anyway. I'm gonna... Well, for me, it's almost a 3-way toss-up, because I really liked X-Files. Sorry, Steve. And I really like Supergirl, and I really like Lucifer. I'm gonna give it to Supergirl because that Martian Manhunter line... Not just the line, but just his whole thing. But, like, oh, that line just got me. I was just saying it to myself, like, for days.
You could have gone X-Super Lucifer.
X-Super Lucifer, yeah, right. Sounds like it could be a thing.
Sounds like a Rob Zombie album.
Okay, so let's find out what the audience said. Anybody want to guess what won?
Arrow.
All right, what won after Arrow?
Yeah, well, so Arrow with 40% of the vote, but see, this makes me wonder if people are doing it with the second one runner-up too, because Legends of Tomorrow got 31% of the vote, second place.
Oh.
Man, that's not fair. You didn't even watch the episode.
I saw the first one and it sucked.
Why do we bother? So that split up a lot of it, you guys. And then Star Wars got 3%, and Lucifer 4%, and Flash got 4%, and Agent Carter got 7%, Supergirl got 8%, and X-Files got 3%. But I didn't expect that a whole lot of people watching the show would necessarily watch X-Files, but maybe they did, and they just didn't vote for it because they wanted to see our reaction when that happened. Whatever. I don't know why we do this, but we do still. So anyway,
I'm disappointed in that 3%.
You folks are, it's up to you. You're welcome to vote for whatever you want to, but it's okay because it's our show. We sort of make fun of you for it. Okay. Let's now do a little bit of open forum and see if Rasco's already got any questions about anything interesting going on in pop culture, comics, history, and superhero stuff, that sort of thing. TV, what we like to talk about here. Rasco, you got anything? We'll do 2 or 3.
The Toast Guy asks...
The Toast Guy!
What do you guys think of the PG-13 petition for the Deadpool movie? Do you guys think it should be PG-13?
Absolutely not.
No. Why?
There's been a petition to try to make a version that is. There would be like 2 versions. This is spearheaded really hard by what is that? What is the name of that woman who has done a lot of stuff for DC that has her own? Grace Randolph. That's who it is. She's been trying to get. Is she? I thought she was, I guess, Marvel. Yeah, I forgot. I haven't watched a lot of her. But anyway, thanks, Dan. Grace Randolph was spearheading that, and I guess the whole deal is she knows that a lot of kids are going to want to see it, and that they shouldn't go, but they'll find a way to go, and that's bad and stuff. I don't know, man. I don't think kids should be reading Deadpool. Like just get to the right age where it's for you. That's how I feel about it. What do you guys think?
I think it's really. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I agree. I think it should be.
You're already frozen up on me.
Character can be true to himself, and I would be shocked if this was a hard R. I think this is probably going to be a soft R, frankly.
I think it's the stupidest thing.
I don't think they should dumb it down.
I'm sorry. What was that, Rasco?
Oh, I said I think it's like one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. Like, it just bothers me. I don't know. It's just very strange. Like, what do you want? Like, and it's more from like a artistic side. It's like you want to release a version of a movie that was clearly, they shot the movie, it was written, and it is an R rating. If you want to come out with a separate cut of the film at the same time, that sole purpose is a censored version of the movie. Like, I don't know, you lose any sort of artistic integrity with the film, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's really stupid. I have it from the other side. I think even from the parental side. And some people are making the argument that, well, it should be PG-13 because kids want to see it. Okay, if your kid really wants to see Deadpool, and you are so gung-ho about them wanting to see Deadpool that you will sign a petition for them to make a PG-13 cut, why don't you just see whether or not your child is mentally competent enough to watch an R-rated film when he's not old enough? Kids are all different. Rated R doesn't mean the same thing for everyone. If they can handle the movie, they can handle the movie. It's not that big of a deal.
I agree with you. What you do is you go see it first, right? And you see if there's anything there that you're like, yeah, my kid's just not ready for this. And then you take them and you see it with them, and then you have a conversation with them afterwards. Or you decide they're not ready for it and you don't show it to them yet. I mean,
Wait, how do you suggesting that people should take personal responsibility? That's insane.
That they should actually raise their children.
I know, Dan, I'm asking too much, buddy.
Besides, how do you make a family-friendly film about a callous murderer?
That's what bugs me when Deadpool shows up in little kid stuff, because occasionally they'll do that, and I'm like, he's an assassin! What are we doing? Deadpool is not a kid-friendly cat. Just because he's in that continuity, should we do that with Punisher? No.
There's a reason Punisher wasn't in Superhero Squad.
Yeah, don't put Deadpool in things like that. It's like just because he's really popular and because cutesy things get done with him and stuff, there has to be a kid-friendly version. We don't even think about what he is, what the point of him is, or what he does for a living. And the fact that he's, say it with me, a psychopath, and we just forget that part. We don't care about that part, but anyway, yeah.
No, don't care.
And it would set an awful precedent too, because this is really good history in the making. That instead of watering down a thing that really shouldn't be seen by kids, but then putting it out to try to get, like Spawn was, try to get them to go see it, and then try to make it all accessible. It's not really great for anybody. We finally make a thing what it is. That's what it should. It should be rated R. I thought it was so cool that Fox was gutsy enough to put it out that way.
Yeah, and plus we've been here before with the rated R Watchmen film.
Yeah, and Deadpool has done a much better job of making it very, very, very clear to everyone what exactly it is. That with a lot of things in advertising, he's not a superhero. This is not for kids. I mean, like Kick-Ass, did a really good job of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm just happy. I really like the song "X Gonna Give It to You." Otherwise, I'd be really sick of it by now.
How about another question, Rasco?
Okay, this is from Connor Nielsen, and he wants to know what our favorite Twilight Zone episodes are.
Oh, that's a great question. Hi, Connor. Connor and I talked about that show a lot. He's a really big fan. Do you have a favorite episode, Brandon?
Three of my favorites.
We just asked for one.
I know, but I've got three major favorites, and they are the two William Shatner episodes. Yeah. One with the Gremlins, of course, and then there's one where they visit a small-town diner, and they almost get sucked into the Twilight Zone because they're too focused on that little soothsayer machine on the counter, and it keeps giving them exactly what's happening to them. And then there's the other couple who couldn't leave the Twilight Zone. So those are two of my favorites. And then the third favorite would be the one where the guy knows he's just been in that crashed ship, that crashed airplane in the desert, and nobody believes him. And at the end of the episode, he pours sand out of his shoes.
Man, I don't know what your favorite episode of the Twilight Zone is.
Oh man, Eye of the Beholder I like a lot. The Shatner plane episode is a classic, of course. There's I can't remember the name of it. There's an episode about a woman traveling and she keeps seeing the same hitchhiker over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
That's an excellent one. God, I could keep going. It's such a great show.
Steve, do you have a favorite Twilight Zone episode?
I do. My favorite one is, I think it's called To Serve Man, the one where the benevolent alien shows up. And he says he's going to end hunger and war on planet Earth, but he really means that by eating all the humans. I think it's a really interesting ethical episode. And I don't remember any of the actors from it, but I remember being kind of freaked out by some of the performances and stuff as a kid.
Ted Cassidy's in that. He plays the big tall alien.
Oh, okay, that's who that was, yeah.
Yeah, I love Ted Cassidy. He's an underrated actor.
Yeah, definitely.
Great line from that episode.
Lo or Dan, do either of you have a favorite Twilight Zone episode?
Yeah.
Lo, you go first.
Okay. Mine have both already been mentioned. I was gonna first mention the and I can't remember the name of the episode either, where they're at the diner getting the little fortunes out of the thing at the table. That's a really good episode. And then I was also gonna mention Eye of the Beholder, because that's the first episode I ever watched, because we watched it in my 8th grade English class. And yeah, it was my first introduction to the Twilight Zone, and then I started watching all the episodes. But yeah, I like those two the best.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched through the episodes that they've had on Netflix relatively recently, and watched episodes of it on TV before. I love the Twilight Zone, but I don't know if this is, like, I like all the ones you guys said, obviously, but one of the ones that always comes to mind to me is called The Obsolete Man. It's this episode where a totalitarian state outlaws librarians and says they're obsolete people because there's no need for knowledge in their society. And the episode is just about the librarian and one of the state officers in a room talking about the merits of censorship and how that damages a society. So I love that episode. It's really great.
Well, Dan, you stole mine. That was mine.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I was waiting this whole time and thought nobody would say it. I'm pretty sure they say, and that's Burgess Meredith, and he's on trial for being insignificant and unimportant.
Oh God, that's such a great episode.
Not just because he's a librarian, but I thought probably, maybe we're talking about different episodes because
no, it's the same one. I looked it up before I said it because I couldn't remember the name off the top of my head.
Yeah, I couldn't either, and I'm glad you said that. But yeah, because it also was just he had gotten old. But the librarian thing was part of it too. But yeah, man, yeah, that got me in a place, and it was really super sad. And that's the episode that I always go back to when I talk about minimalism and how you don't, and how if you write your stories right with what you have at your disposal. And think about what you can actually get away with. You can make a thing feel very large in scope with just a couple of dudes in a room that you make look larger than it actually is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's absolutely wonderful. And also, I think it's so much fun that Burgess Meredith in, like, 59, 60, 61 is playing a guy that is too old for anybody to care about anymore, and then he was working until the early to mid-90s. It's like, wait, Burgess Meredith, you were already old enough to play a guy that's too old? Yes, Burgess Meredith was never a young man. He was always old. Yeah.
Like Morgan Freeman, he was born that way.
He was born that way. All right, how about one more, Rasco?
Oh, I was just going to say that my favorite episode was the Invaders.
I'm sorry, Rasco! Do you have a favorite?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, sorry about that. Go ahead.
It's the episode called The Invaders, and it's the one with the woman who lives by herself, and then there's like a UFO craft and these little aliens that are in her home, but they turn out to be people it says like U.S. Air Force Probe 1 on the ship, and it's actually that the woman you're watching has been an alien, and that the tiny aliens in her home are people from Earth. So I don't know if anyone's ever seen that.
Oh, that's wild.
That's such a good episode.
I haven't seen that one. Yeah, wow.
Hey, here's a fun fact trivia about the Twilight Zone. In 156 episodes, Burgess Meredith appeared in 8,600 of them.
No, he was only in like 2 or 3.
God, there's so many that I could mention just as runners-up too. There's just so many good Twilight
You know,
Zone
it's so
episodes.
funny because I think this is the only, it's not current, but this is the only show I think we've ever talked about at all on this show that all of us have seen, so clearly we need to be doing a show on the Twilight Zone.
Well, how about
Yeah.
We should do a special when all these seasons wrap up on the Twilight Zone. That'd be fun.
Yeah,
Well, we could do maybe next summer. We could do save it for the retro episode.
Oh yeah.
That's a very good idea.
Honestly, I think it would be cool if we did some retro off-season episodes that weren't superhero things, and we did some sci-fi editions. Like we do some Twilight Zone, but maybe even some other things that are just straight up like sci-fi things. Maybe in honor of the fact that we did X-Files this year. I think that'd be really cool.
You know what?
Alfred Hitchcock would be awesome too.
Yes, I
there's
love
one
that
episode
show.
that I forgot about that might be my absolute favorite, actually. And it's an episode where these children have to go to Louisiana, and the old man, who's about to die and give away his fortune, makes them wear masks.
Oh, I love that one. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah. And he makes them wear masks, and then they perform this voodoo ritual, this Louisiana witch doctor voodoo ritual. And they don't understand what it's about, but the masks represent each of the deadly sins. And after midnight, the old man dies, and they take the masks off, and all their faces have conformed to the shapes of the masks. And now they no longer have their looks or their ability to talk money or this type of stuff. They all look like the masks, and they're hideous. That's a great episode.
Rasco, one more real quick, if you've got a good one.
Okay, this is from William Parcell. Are you worried about the longevity of Batman with us starting with him so far into his career?
Oh, you mean in the new cinematic extended universe thing? Yeah. It's something I'm curious to see how they'll pull off. Yeah, that he's that far in. But I love starting in an established world like that because we're all so familiar with it already that we can just drop in characters and be like, they've been around and he's seen them before, and we don't have to see his first meeting anybody. It makes me wonder if we might eventually have a recasting thing, but I feel like Ben Affleck could potentially play the part for at least a decade or more. I don't know.
Well, that'd be fun.
Steve, is that a thing that you've thought about?
It's a good and bad kind of thing because I like the idea that Batman doesn't have to do origin stories for any of these characters anymore. We don't have to have a filler movie where Batman meets the Joker for the first time again. We've done that twice already. But at the same time, I think it might just be a semantic thing of like Ben Affleck's 42. He could play it for another 10 years if he wants to, but he has that line in the trailer where he says 20 years in Gotham. I don't know why he says 20. 20 is a really long time, and there's lots of stories you could tell in that gap. I mean, if he said 10 years, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. But I don't know, I guess that's just the wording. It's just weird that Batman, by the time Affleck leaves, would have been active for like 30 years.
But Steve, they may have the continuity figured out so hard that they know that certain things would be really stupid if you try to convince them in even 10 years. And the fact that he says 20 makes the condensation of 5 years and 52 feel even dumber than it already did.
No, that's true. I guess it just depends on how they use their real estate. Because if we get to Batman versus Superman and Nightwing's already a thing and Tim Drake's already been Robin, then I'll be happy.
I think that you're likely to see that. I mean, we got there's a lot of talk about probably Jason Todd, and that's been so popular that I'd be real surprised if they didn't go there real quick. Anybody else want to weigh in on that? Manos, Dan, Lo?
No, don't have any strong feelings about that idea.
No, I don't know.
I mean, it's not like Batman hasn't, been passed on as a character to other people before. So it could be interesting to see that happen in the movies.
I'm just kind of wondering how long they plan on this DC cinematic universe going on for, because it seems like Marvel's kind of like, we're going to keep doing this as long as we can in the same continuity. Who knows if DC went a completely different route and in like 10 to 20 years they like rebooted their cinematic universe.
Well, that's what they do in the comics, like every few years reboot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly,
Now live-action Crisis of Infinite Earths.
Oh my God! I would love to hear moviegoers go, wait a minute, this stuff I've been watching now doesn't count? What is this? Welcome to our world, moviegoers.
I want to see moviegoers talk about pre- and post-crisis movies. I think that would be so.
Oh my God, that would be so great.
Yeah, but wouldn't you have a group of people that had seen the old movies, but now it's a new generation seeing the new movies, like some of these remakes that we have, and they don't even care or know about the originals. I think you'd have some of that going on too, and would the company really care in the end?
The answer is no. They don't care in the end.
Right, exactly.
Well, it depends on how long it goes, and of course, if you'd be rebooting out of original continuity. So, I mean, like, for all intents and purposes, we just did this with X-Men already, you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
They're new movies.
We've already rebooted a universe inside of continuity from a thing based on comics in a very comic book sort of way, and smarter than that's usually done. We've already done this once. There's no reason that you couldn't redo it and come up with something to make all those characters younger, like we just did with X-Men. Well, if you do it all those period pieces again, that would be really funny for me.
Yep.
But anyway, well, I think that's going to be it for us tonight, folks. Thanks as always for watching, and once again, try to keep this as short as we can. But it's not working real well. We will keep
Late shows.
noodling that and figuring out how we're going to do it. But thank you guys so much for bearing with me and hanging out, and it was a really fun show as always. Really enjoyed it. Brandon, thanks for joining us.
No problem.
We had a good time.
I did.
On X-Files and started a new show with us, and we will see you again next week for a lucky episode number 13 of season 2 of Primetime Crisis Live, and I think we might already have some new shows again coming back. I think Gotham maybe airs this week, maybe that's the week after. Maybe it's the week after. So anyway, thanks again for watching. I'm Captain Logan, and this was Dan Torrey.
See you later, guys.
Steve Baxi.
Good night, everybody.
TheCuriousLo.
Bye, guys. Thanks for watching.
The realest of all Manoses.
That's me.
Brandon Grimm. Our official chat moderator, Jackson Rasco.
Primetime Crisis Live, the movie, confirmed 2018.
Yes. And then like 3 movies in, we'll have a big reboot. And I'm Captain Logan saying good night. Good night.